So you can catch it, match it, stash it in the cabinet. Listen to the chorus while let Ivan scratch it. This is real hip hop, we aiming for a classic. And if we can't approach it, screw it, we'll attack it. Catch it, match it, stash it in the cabinet. Listen to the chorus while let Ivan. This is real hip hop, we aiming for a classic. And if we can't approach it, screw it, we'll attack it. What you know about classic music?
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Retro Wrestling Review Series. Today, we're reviewing WrestleMania 26. There's been some scheduling delays of why this hasn't gotten out, but we're finally doing it, so get off our asses. I am here with the man that produces all of my stuff, the man that loves drinking Diet Pepsi, doing every stream that we do, pretty much, James the He-Man Hebert.
Hey, listen, man, I just got up like half an hour ago, and I'm like, you know what? If they're going to energize myself somehow, this is how I'll do it.
Doesn't Diet Pepsi, though, not have as much, wouldn't regular Pepsi energize you more, though? Because it's not as, sugary and all that?
Well, here's the thing. The thing about Pepsi, and I've noticed this, with Pepsi, this is how you know I'm a nerd for fucking soda. I drink way too much of this shit. With Pepsi, the cane sugar in that shit slogs me the hell down. And I think that's just a general effect if you drink Pepsi. Whereas Diet Pepsi, while it's still not the greatest for you, like, Diet Pepsi at least has a lot of caffeine to kind of energize you way more.
That's fair.
Because it's just caffeine, and it doesn't have all that crazy-ass sugar that Pepsi does. So,
and I'm here with a man that has so many nicknames that if we did this, we would have to do like a whole nother retro the next day. If I went through all of his nicknames, the man that was at this WrestleMania, the man that has his cat invading the show, Steve Steiner, Steve Coakley. What's going on?
Cat Steiner.
Well, as you can see, we have an invasion from Cat Steiner today.
I love the kitty.
As per the usual, she loves getting in the shots.
Bro, I am all for the cat coming in and photobombing every single retro. That is the.
I was gonna say, I think it's kind of become a thing now. It's not a matter of if, but when it'll happen.
I feel like when the cat,
we're gonna get all.
I feel like when your cat sees the camera on, your cat just wants to take the spotlight up.
Oh, absolutely! So. She is a big camera hog. She loves the attention.
Well, she
got
the attention for sure.
So, Steve Coakley, you were at this WrestleMania.
I was. This was the first WrestleMania I attended.
So, we're going to kind of take the Jeff Meacham method. Yeah. So, we're going to take the Jeff Meacham method. You're going to kind of talk about what led you to go into this WrestleMania and everything like that.
Well, at the time, my grandparents on my father's side were living out in Arizona. They're retired. People out there, it's kind of, you're retired, you either go to Florida or you go to Arizona. So they went to Arizona, and we got the announcement, I think, because nowadays, they usually announce a year in advance. Back then, it was a little closer to maybe like half a year in advance. I don't remember entirely. I could probably look. I have my notes up.
I mean, they do announce it, like, obviously at the previous year's WrestleMania, but they don't obviously sell any tickets or anything.
Okay, you know what? They actually did announce this one a year in advance for Arizona. So I remember, hearing about it and being like, I know you guys, because my father and my brother had been up to visit them like once.
Yeah.
Obviously a long trip, so don't do it too often. So we're like talking like, it's been a couple of years. I'm a little older now. Maybe I could come on the trip and we could do it around late March, early April. So my dad obviously got the hint. He was like, yeah, because me, my brother, my dad were talking like, if we could figure out a way to do Mania. So
yeah.
one thing leads to another. And we wound up pulling the trip together and staying with my grandparents out in Arizona for a couple weeks. They lived in a outskirt of Phoenix called Buckeye.
Okay.
Wasn't wasn't too far off. I think it was like a half hour from the stadium.
Right.
But yeah, just side notes about being out there. Arizona was very nice. The trip was enjoyable. The rumors about Arizona being a very, very, very dry place are true. It's hot. Everybody knows, but it's dry as hell.
Yeah.
I saw the Grand Canyon, and
Oh yeah.
as it turns out, it can be like 30 degrees out in Arizona, and it's still dry as hell. But yeah, that's all you have to know about.
The Grand Canyon is like uber cold. It makes the whole atmosphere uber cold.
In March, I might be exact. It might have been more like the 40s, but yeah, it was cold because the elevation was just so high.
Was it dark elevation? Punch AEW Spark. Sorry.
But anyhow,
it was not.
I see.
But yeah, the overall vibe was really good out there. One more side note, I will say, we went to a little place. I think this is the name. It was Baby's Steak and Lemonade. Really weird name for a restaurant. But the importance of it was a man by the name of Armando Alejandro Estrada.
Wait, he
was
ran
the
restaurant?
proud owner.
Oh my
of
gosh.
this restaurant.
Hey, shout out Armando, man.
Yep. Yeah. So went there. We met Armando. Wicked nice. He was just very happy to have the influx of people coming in. I mean, you gotta imagine, like, he owns his own small business now, and he's probably in like peak season with WrestleMania coming in.
Yeah.
He did have a few of the wrestlers just kind of coming in on their own time getting food.
If that's fair, yeah.
It was really cool to see him out there. But yeah, I guess outside of that, we also did Mania Access, just behind the scenes stuff back then. But yeah, we'll get into the show now, I think.
Before we do, we're gonna go over like what kind of the company was like. So we did a video talking when we did the Royal Rumble retro, talking about how WWE was in a really bad state in 2010. However, that was not the case yet. I feel like WWE was still in a pretty good state because it was.
I'm going to go off of that really quick. I can't look at WWE as when I think of like a year. I don't think the year starts in January. To me, the year starts in April after Mania.
Yeah.
So for all intents and purposes, we're really technically in 2009 still.
Yeah, but WWE was doing pretty well. Raw, I thought, had improved pretty well as a show. Obviously, in 2009, Raw wasn't the best show because it was the guest host era, so a lot of people didn't like that era of Raw. SmackDown was actually a really good show at this time. You had really good storylines on that show and everything like that. But yeah, WWE was doing pretty well. They were fully in the PG rating, pretty much. Even though they transitioned into the PG era, in 2008, I feel like 2010 was when they really started to embrace the PG era, doing a lot of things. They were very kid friendly in 2010, and yeah, they were doing but yeah, WWE was still doing pretty good stuff. They had some pretty good feuds at this time. TNA though, this is kind of the first year where TNA at least attempted or tried to be legitimate competition to WWE. TNA had moved over to Mondays in January of that year. And it looked like up until 2019, we were going to have our first legitimate competition to WWE. But it failed miserably. I think at this point, it was like such a failure that TNA was like, not even close to beating Raw in the ratings. I think Raw dominated TNA like every week. It was pretty embarrassing, honestly. But WWE obviously was afraid of it. That's just why they brought Bret Hart back. Coincidentally, the first show that WWE ran up against TNA, they brought back Bret Hart on that episode. They loaded that episode.
And if you remember, they actually timed him coming out to Hogan coming out on TNA.
Yeah, so it was really interesting. ROH was doing fairly well at this time. It wasn't obviously like a breakout product, but it was still really good. New Japan was had to get their footing back after beating after that disastrous partnership they did with TNA. So yeah, wrestling was looking pretty good at this time. TNA I think was in the worst state because they were struggling to go up against Raw. The shows were crap every week. So that's kind of what wrestling was like at this time.
Yes, and if you remember, actually, there's one really good thing that came out of that TNA partnership with New Japan, and that was TNA's complete and utter mishandling of Okada.
Yeah,
I think they had him as like Samoa Joe's goon for like 2 weeks, and then they dropped him, and New Japan was like, "Oh well, we'll take him and see what we can do with him." And yeah, they obviously made it work with him.
Oh, for sure, yeah. So that's kind of what wrestling was like at this time. Let's go through the show itself. So you kind of talked about your trip, but do you want to talk a little bit about going to Access for the first time and everything like that? Well, James can it gives James time to be able to at least review the show with us and everything like that.
Yeah, so the Access, I'm trying to think back to 26's Access. So if I remember correctly, 26's Access was just a lot of the getting signatures. I think Ezekiel Jackson was at the one I went to.
Okay.
They had a couple matches going on, just kind of like dark matches to pass the time. I forget who was wrestling, but Chavo Guerrero won a match, and it was during that period where he was strictly doing dark matches, but he had turned face, apparently.
Oh, yeah. That's interesting, yeah.
They went full in on kind of the Eddie Guerrero tribute gimmick, which was nice. I mean, wasn't doing anything else. So
yeah.
Don't really remember too much about that Access. I would have to go back through my catalog a little more. I tried to, but I couldn't find too much.
That's fair.
What I will show you though that I did find.
Okay, let's see. We get to see some memorabilia right here.
All right, here it comes. All right, well, right here we have the official program from the show.
Oh yeah, I think I actually have that program somehow.
Brought this bad boy back with me.
Yep.
Kind of has the match card lineup. So I have the order of them, but this one is also something I was like, can I go off this? I'm like, yeah, I probably could. I actually have a collection of different programs I've kind of collected throughout the years. But yeah, this is the official one from Phoenix, Arizona. March 28th, cool. 2010, University of Phoenix Stadium. Cardinals suck. Open it up. First thing you see, Edge promoting Slim Jims.
Yep, because that was their sponsor for WrestleMania 26.
I don't know why they dropped Slim Jims. I freaking love Slim Jims.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you go through the program. It just has the match card lineup, which is really cool. Just Cena versus Batista being the heavily promoted one.
Yep.
I'm back.
Yeah. It's all good.
Like right in the middle as we're starting the stream, of course. Like
that's all good. I say. As we've learned, people get pulled away from these things all the time.
Yeah. But yeah, luckily we haven't started actually reviewing the show yet, so we were kind of killing time a little bit by having Steve talk about his doing Access, and he's showing us his program.
Yeah, so
there you go.
It has like the history of WrestleMania pages in there, Mr. T, Piper. So you go through that section, and then
was it show for 20? Was it show for 20? Because 20 obviously they can't show what the main event was.
20's picture is Eddie.
Okay.
It's just Eddie raising the belt, and then it actually does state that Triple Threat World Heavyweight Championship match. Chris Benoit defeated Triple H and Shawn Michaels to become new World Heavyweight Champion.
That's
it did sense, but as they've kind of established throughout the years, it's like, you know what, we can they don't have to ignore it, but they don't have to promote it either.
That's true. Now, I never really had you say why you picked this retro, but I assume you obviously picked it because this was your first WrestleMania you actually attended, so that's why I picked
that's all there is to it. And I totally forgot this. If you flip it over, is the Hall of Fame 2010 class.
I might have you. Yeah,
they come out during the show, so we'll talk about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, did you go to Hall of Fame that year or no?
I did not. I've actually never been to a Hall. Have I been? No, I have not been to a Hall of Fame.
I think I went to the 32 Hall of Fame, which I'll say it before. Hall of Fame is fun to go to, but it's kind of one of the things. Once you go, you don't really feel like you need to go again, type of thing.
Yeah, I've heard that. It's like you go if you can find a cheap enough ticket.
Yeah,
or it's part of your package.
I still regret to this day that I didn't go to NXT Takeover in Dallas. That's my biggest regret ever as like a wrestler that I didn't go to NXT Takeover Dallas.
I didn't go to Takeover Dallas either, but I did watch it live from the hotel bar.
I'm surprised, surprised that you would say that your biggest regret isn't going to Mania in Dallas just so that way you could see Taker get inducted.
Well, I also say that because I say that's my biggest regret because I was actually in Texas when Takeover was going on, so like I could have gone. Like I couldn't go to WrestleMania in Dallas last year anyway, so that's why I don't have. It's not my biggest regret. My only other biggest regret, Stephen and Coakley, and then we'll review Mania, is not going to NXT right the house show that was here right after.
Oh geez,
NXT Takeover Dallas.
And it's like whatever, nothing's gonna happen.
Then Samoa Joe wins the title.
I remember being like,
I think we talked about it too, Steve. We talked about it too, Steve. We were thinking about going to it.
We came to a mutual agreement, like, yeah, it's a house show. I mean, you know what? I'd rather
when he won that belt. Holy shit! Like,
yeah,
they went nuts.
Yeah, my brother wasn't gonna go either, and then he gets like last minute tickets like 3 hours before the show. He's like, yeah, okay. And then he texts and he's like, he's like, hey, never mind. I don't know. Can I tell you? I'm like, did something really cool happen? He's like, yeah. So Samoa Joe won the title.
Like, I know.
Like he won it and then they reversed it because it's a house show. Like, no, like that's what we thought, but he clearly just left the building and now it's really setting in.
He won the belt. Yeah.
He said the place popped, but everyone was like, okay, where's the manager? And then he left the building and everyone really started popping then, I guess.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, geez, he just won the title.
Yeah. But anyhow, well, we're way off topic, but I just figured, we would talk about it. But let's go through, let's start reviewing WrestleMania 26. The date of this show was March 28th, 2010. As Steve Coakley just said, it was in Glendale, Arizona. The venue was the University of Phoenix Stadium.
Yes.
Do you know the attendance for the show, Steve? If you want to take a guess of the attendance.
12.
Huh?
12.
12?
12.
It says 72,219 people attended this show. So
that's close.
And then the buy rate was 885,000 buys. The tagline was "Get all fired up" because everyone was fired up for WrestleMania. That's the tagline. Get all fired up.
You know what the tagline should have been? The 25th anniversary of WrestleMania.
Yeah, we talked about it WrestleMania 25 because this was the real 25th anniversary.
I really wish Chris were here right now because I'm sure he would let us know exactly how he feels about that.
Noah would too.
I wish we did that Mania.
Noah, who did the Mania 25 retro, would have fucking let you know.
Yeah,
they don't know how to do math.
It's like it's not even false. I don't know if it's false advertisement, if it's just poor mathematical skills. I just don't know.
Yeah, yes. No matter the regime, too, it seems like the WWE can't get anniversaries right because I think this year they said it was like the 30th anniversary of Raw, but it really wasn't. It was like
given his accusations, I'm sure Vince isn't going to have to worry about him and Linda's anniversary much longer.
Yeah. But anyhow, let's go through the actual show. We had a dark match to kick off the show. It was on WWE.com. I forgot to send James the match, but it was a 26-man battle royal. It was the participants in the battle royal were Yoshitatsu, Zack Ryder, Primo, Slam Master Jay, Kalen Croft, Trent Beretta, Chavo Guerrero, Mark Henry, The Great Khali, Luke Gallows, JTG, Chris Masters, Tyson Kidd, David Hart Smith, Vladimir Kozlov, Kung Funaki, Goldust, Shag Gaspard, William Regal, Tyler Rex, Santino Marella, Jimmy Wayne Yane, Vance Archer, Carlito, Finley, Mike Knox, and Zack Ryder. Well, I had just said Zack Ryder because I read it by order of eliminations, and I just gave away who won, but because on Wikipedia it says like who we last eliminated and everything like that. But,
Yep.
So Zack Ryder was not in this match twice. That's not possible. But this obviously this was just a dog match for a way to get everybody onto the show. It was kind of cool they did a 26-man battle royal since it was WrestleMania 26. I kind of wish every year they would do I know they have done battle royals, but every year it would just be the number of WrestleMania that it is. That's how many people are in the battle royal, which would be funny. Imagine what happens when you get to WrestleMania 100. You have to get 100 wrestlers in there. That'd be hilarious. I would laugh. Well, I'm not going to beat.
Forbidden Door will definitely open it up that year.
Vince will just clone himself and have Omos enter 10 times.
Yeah. But anyhow,
Shadow Clone Jutsu, form of Omos.
But anyhow, the commentary team for this show, the entire show was Jerry the King Lawler, Michael Cole, and Matt Stryker. So I thought they did good. I say this because the last retro all three of us did, they did commentary for. They did terrible. And what a difference it makes when you have Michael Cole, not an annoying heel, on commentary. The commentary is actually good between all three of them.
Michael Cole's great when you let Michael Cole be Michael Cole.
Yep.
Yeah. But I thought I thought they all did fairly well. But going through the WrestleMania 26 Battle Royal, some highlights that happened. This is when NXT was Game Show NXT, and it just started. So the rookies of season 1 NXT were watching the match on the stage. Steve Coakley, let's do a quick trivia right here. Who were the season 1 NXT rookies? Name every single one of them. I think you can do it.
8. There's 8 of them.
You're right.
I always think there's 8 because one of them.
Bryan.
Yep.
Wade Barrett.
Yep.
David Otunga.
Yep.
Justin Gabriel. Heath Slater. What was Ryback's name?
Skip Sheffield.
Yep, Skip Sheffield.
I'll give that one to you, though, because you said Ryback.
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
I think you need 2 more.
Michael Tarver.
Did you say him already?
No.
Okay, so you need 1 more.
I do need 1 more. I'm trying to think. Who am I missing? All
right, so you said Wade Barrett, Heath Slater, Justin Gabriel, Michael Tarver. You said Otunga?
Yep.
You said Bryan, and you said Skip Sheffield. It was 8, wasn't there? Who are we missing?
Well, O'Neal, I think. I think O'Neal was...
No, he was season 2.
I don't know, then. Shit.
This is what the internet is for.
This is what the internet's for. By the way, while you guys are talking about this, I'm making sure I get the plugs ready to go and just out of the freaking way.
By the way, I think you missed Darren Young. That's the one.
Darren Young.
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't great then. They had to make him great first.
Yeah.
So now he's strong. Now he's very strong, man. He's a very strong champion. March 28th is Stand and Deliver, and
okay.
March 28th is Stand and Deliver, right? No, Owen, and then is March 30th still?
March 29th. March 29th is Wild After Radio 31.
Okay, so that's a Wednesday.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Continue.
All right. But yeah, so that's all the NXT rookies from season 1. But going through some highlights of the Battle Royal, Primo got eliminated right away. He got eliminated immediately by Vance Archer, which was pretty embarrassing for him. But that's what happens in a Battle Royal sometimes. Crime Time both together eliminate Luke Gallows, and then right after this, Shad Gaspard eliminates JTG from behind, which is weird because he's the one that ends up turning heel on SmackDown, which kind of doesn't really make much sense since he's the one that had already turned. It would have made more sense for JTG to do it, but that's an example of no long-term booking by Vince right there. They did a thing where Mike Knox got a lot of eliminations. He eliminated like 4 people in a row. Finley and William Regal got to go at it, and I always enjoy seeing them go at it. Finley actually eliminated William Regal. Jerry the King Lawler mentioned a funny line on commentary where, because Finley's so thin gimmick at the time was that he loves to fight and everything like that. He said that if Finley wins the Battle Royal, he'll probably just start fighting the referee, which was funny. What else happened in this Battle Royal? Mark Henry and the Great Khali went at it. Great Khali hit the big chop on Mark Henry and eliminated him, and a bunch of wrestlers worked together and eliminated the Great Khali. And following this, after the big guys had already been out, Matt Stryker said on commentary, Mike Knox and Vance Archer have a really good chance of winning this Battle Royal because of their size. When you just saw the biggest guys in the match get eliminated, it didn't even make any sense.
Maybe he was cheering for the medium-sized guys,
But what else happened in this Battle Royal that was fairly significant? Hornswoggle and Finley were united during this Battle Royal. He slid underneath the legs of Mike Knox, and doing this, he handed Finley the shillelagh, and he hit Mike Knox off the skull with the shillelagh. And Finley eliminated Carlito doing this chaos. So that was cool. And then eventually, behind Zack Ryder eliminates both Finley and Mike Knox. Santino was also in this Battle Royal when he hit the Cobra on everybody. This was obviously when it was just his regular hand. This was before he had the sock puppet on there and things like that.
Yes.
And then when Finley actually eliminates Santino, and the crowd boos when Finley eliminates Santino, and Finley just goes like he was very nonchalant about it.
Nice.
When Regal got eliminated, he tried to attack Finley, but Finley just stopped his hand, so Regal just left because he realized he wasn't going to get the advantage on Finley. Then Zack Ryder, when Finley's about to eliminate Mike Knox, eliminates Finley and Mike Knox from behind. And then it was pretty cool because Mike Knox before this had hit his flying crossbody, which Matt Stryker calls the flying bear. And Jerry Lawler made a funny line, was like, wait, would you call that a flying bear? That was definitely a flying bear right there. Because at the time, Mike Knox was, this was when like Mike Knox was in like his later stages of his gimmick where he was like a scientist at that time or something. I don't even remember what he was meant to be. He was meant to be like a scientist. I don't even remember what it was.
I don't even remember this.
Oh yeah,
it was like when he like knew all the body parts.
That's gimmick.
That.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And then it comes down to Zack Ryder, and
it's the same gimmick where he was like, I just don't know why I hurt Rey Mysterio. I could tell you why, but I just don't know.
Yes. And then it comes down to Zack Ryder and Yoshitatsu. Yoshitatsu gets Ryder over the top rope, but he doesn't get eliminated. And he kicks Ryder. He was supposed to kick him in the head, but he doesn't exactly kick him in the head. He kicks him on like the side of the shoulder. But it was meant to kick him in the head, and it caused Zack Ryder to get eliminated. And Yoshitatsu wins the Battle Royal. This is probably, weirdly enough, in WWE, this is like Yoshitatsu's career highlight. This is the only thing he ever does of really any
Pretty
significance
much, yeah,
in WWE.
And it's fucking depressing because he was really good.
But this was a good Battle Royal here. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed seeing Finley in this Battle Royal. I thought he was my favorite person in the Battle Royal. This Battle Royal was fairly significant because if you look at all these names, it's a lot of these guys' last Mania that they've appeared at. So it's kind of cool to watch this Battle Royal and everything like that. Which it's depressing, but I gave the Battle Royal 3 stars. I thought it was a good Battle Royal. So Steve, seeing this Battle Royal live, is there anything you remember about it?
I'm gonna be real honest. It happened.
Okay.
It happened. I mean, there's really not much more to it outside of that. It was a Battle Royal. It was good. It was enjoyable to watch, but it's not a crowd moving moment by any means.
No, not at all.
It was You know what it was? It was them being like, all right, let's see how many people we can trick back in so we can shorten the lines for the T-shirts that we're trying to sell right now.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's my take on it. But it was fun seeing Yoshitatsu win. Everyone popped for him.
Yeah.
Nobody disliked Yoshitatsu, so I think that went in his favor. And obviously, a few years later, AJ Styles and Yoshitatsu would have a moment.
Mm-hmm. They did.
We're not
going
to do every career retrospective of everybody in this battle royal.
Well, we've done most of them anyway, so I'll just
I'm looking at the list, and all you got to know is Owen saying this is the last Mania for a lot of them. Yep.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
At least the majority of them. Yeah.
I'll go through them real quick. So, Yoshitatsu, we did a career retrospective for Royal Rumble 2011 retro.
Right.
Zack Ryder, we did the same retro. Primo, we've done a career retrospective on. I don't remember when, but I know we have.
We really got to do that Slam Master J retrospective.
I think we have done a career retrospective on Slam Master J.
What the hell? What the hell?
Hey, it was a prime time for a cup of coffee,
Yeah. Kalen Croft.
I wonder how Luke Gallows would feel about Slam Master J.
Yeah. Kalen Croft would get released later in the year. And eventually he left the wrestling business altogether, and now he's a elementary school art teacher, and he wrote a book, a children's book, believe it or not, Steve, called because it's a funny name because of what the song we just referenced last time. Let me get the name of it because it's actually pretty funny.
All right.
No Beard the Pirate. So that's the name of the book. It's No Beard the Pirate.
Before you continue, because I don't know when I'm gonna be able to read this comment from Zero, because Zero is actually in a live chat with us, by the way. I had to be here, he says, because I saw WrestleMania 26. It was my first WrestleMania as a wrestling fan. I didn't attend it, but I saw it back when Blockbuster was a thing back in 2010.
Well, it still is a thing, just not as
that hurts. That hurts every fiber of my being.
Yeah. But yeah, Trent Beretta, he would last a little longer in the WWE, like another year. Then he got released randomly, and then he's done his stint in the Indies. He formed best friends with Chuck Taylor /
and Roppongi Vice with.
I was about to say that, yeah, Roppongi Vice with Rocky Romero, and he's done both tag teams at one point or another. He's mainly done the Best Friends tag team in the United States, and then he signed with AEW, and he's a part of Chaos now with Best Friends and everything like that, which is cool. We've done a career retrospective on Chavo. You can watch Royal Rumble 2011. Mark Henry, you can watch one of the SummerSlam retros. The Great Khali, you can watch the Royal Rumble 2011 retro. Luke Gallows, the only thing new we could say about him is because I don't think we've done a retro since he's been back. He's back with the company as part of the tag division. JTG, this was actually his last WrestleMania, believe it or not, even though he lasted in the company another couple of years, but he didn't do much really at the other Manias. Chris Masters, this was his last WrestleMania, I believe. Tyson Kidd. Since Tyson Kidd shows up later, we'll do a career retrospective on him later. Same thing with David Hart Smith. Vladimir Kozlov. You can watch Rumble 2011 retro. This was Kung Funaki's last WrestleMania as a wrestler. I'm pretty sure he's still on the Japanese commentary team, to my knowledge.
Yeah, he's been there for a hot cup of coffee now.
I think he transitioned into the booth pretty much like right after this.
And remember, Funaki, SmackDown, number one announcer.
Yeah,
yes, he is.
That Kung Funaki gimmick was so racist.
Yeah, Goldust. We've done a career retrospective on him before. Anything new? Is there anything new about Goldust, James? Because you watch AEW most weeks, so
he's on
nothing new.
He's on his last ride. Last ride tour. This is his last full year as a professional wrestler.
So there you go.
And he's teaming with Keith Lee, and it's pretty cool because they're Star Wars fans, and so they have Star Wars aesthetic of their attires, and it's
there you go.
fun.
William
He's
Regal
gone from red dust to blue dust. What dust is he at now, James?
He is now.
I would say red dust.
He's back to red dust. He's Darth Maul dust, and Keith Lee is like Obi-Wan Keith Nobi right now.
I miss. You know what? I miss Black Dust, aka Black Rain.
No,
yeah.
no, we don't talk about those days.
What would you call
Just
like
do
the
the rat.
version? What would you call the version of Goldust when he was like the oldest formerly known as Goldust? What kind of dust is that?
Sexual dust.
White dust. A lot of white dust.
Yeah. We've done a Shaq Gaspar. This would be unfortunately his last WrestleMania. This was Climb Time's last WrestleMania as a team since Shaq Gaspar turned on JTG legitimately the SmackDown after WrestleMania, which sucks.
So dumb.
William Regal, we've done it.
Also, what the fuck happens to Slam Master Jay? Vince really didn't think about any of that shit.
No, he didn't.
All a fucking trio.
William Regal, we've done a career retrospective on him before. Tyler Rex also. Santino Marella we have. Jimmy Wayne Yang, we did it in SummerSlam 2003. Vance Archer. Vance Archer would get released by the WWE, I think, in like 2010. And then he would go on to New Japan, and then now he's Lance Archer. It's just so freaking crazy that this was on Lance Archer like over 10 years ago. It's so crazy how things changed.
Nothing like how he looks now. It's crazy.
No,
and he's done
by
really
comparison, looked like a dork back then, kind of.
Yeah. But now he's like he was a big fixture in Japan as part of the Killer Elite Tag Division, and
Killer
obviously
Elite Squad with Davey Boy Smith, ironically.
Yeah, and then he would obviously break out his singles, and he's done fairly okay in AEW. I think they could have done more with him, but that's just my opinion. Then Carlito, we've done career retrospectives on him before. Finlay, this would be Finlay's last WrestleMania as a wrestler.
Then he would transition into a producer.
I think he was transitioning by this point anyway. So,
yeah.
Mike Knox
he had actually been a producer previously with the women's division early on. Yes, I found out.
Yeah.
And then Mike Knox, we've done a career retrospective on Mike Knox before, so we don't need to do that again. So going through the actual show itself.
Well, real quick, I got more comments from Zero. He said, what you could call what you could call Gold Dust during the artist formerly known as BDSM Dust, or artist formerly known as Gold Dust, and he also says artist formerly known as Gold Dust was on Demon Time. Man was a freak.
Yeah, he was.
He wasn't wrong. He ain't wrong.
So going through the actual show itself.
America the Beautiful sung by, who can tell me?
Fantasia, correct?
Yep.
Yeah. Good.
Fantasia sung that year. And they had the flyover, the opening pyro, and I just want to take the second because I haven't said it yet. This is, without a shadow of a doubt, actually, I'm going to say it's probably my number 2 now, second only to 33. One of the best WrestleMania stages of all time.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's really good.
Discluding Mania 33 and discluding Mania 33, probably the last great WrestleMania stage.
I would agree with that.
I feel like after this, they became very, very super generic stages with good designs, but the stages themselves have been very, very generic.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think I wouldn't say that because you gotta consider like 30 stage was baller, 34 stage was baller also.
Yeah, I'm saying just including 33.
Yeah.
But 27, 28, 29 all had the same stage. I'd say 29 probably did it the best out of those three because I had the city in the background. 30 ultimately had the same stage. 31 did as well. 32 did as well.
32
33
wasn't even a stage.
An amusement park, which is insane.
Yeah,
I'm forgetting 34 was actually a unique stage too. It had the mask.
34 was so great. I love 34.
That was a good one too. I completely
Mardi Gras mask.
What was 35?
35 was they just did the ginormous screen, which is like I get what you're going for, but it's not for me. I didn't like it at all.
Dude,
I thought it was. I thought it was
the Raw Titantron. That's all it was.
Yeah. That's the thing. It was ultimately the Raw Titantron, so it was ultimately lazy. And
yeah, it was.
That I was. If you sat up high, you could see everything behind it. They did no effort to do the side stage or the behind the scenes setup. Like it was just very, very. It was peak old man Vince. Lazy.
Yeah. 36 I wouldn't really count as a stage.
36 is
doesn't count. Yeah.
For all things considered. 37.
What's 37? Don't even.
They kind of lucked out because they didn't put the pirate ship there. That was Raymond James Stadium. So
yeah, that was
kind of like
Yeah.
you get half credit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially too
30
because 30 that would have been 36.
And then 38 was back to the generic design that
yeah
27, 8,
I
9,
would say
30, 31.
it was at least a
And
little bit better. It was at least
but
a little bit
it was
better.
the best version of it because they tossed that big star in.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I mean, 38
AJ
would have been
cut himself on.
And I just,
30.
I genuinely hope 39s this year is something more similar to 21s.
Yeah. I feel like 38 is the one that should have been good because that was like the first WrestleMania where they could have like a full capacity crowd and everything like that. That's the one that should have been good.
Yeah.
But anyhow, continue going through. We had the intro video package where they talked about how everyone's living to get their WrestleMania moment and everything like that. Really good video package. Then we had the opening match. It was Show Miz defending the WWE Unified Tag Team Championships against R-Truth and John Morrison. Big Show and The Miz had just formed a tag team like a couple months ago.
Show Miz.
Yes, they did. And they had won the tag title. Say that again.
Good mashup song.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
I didn't like that.
It wasn't. It was
I thought it was
awful.
terrible.
It was so bad.
Show Miz and Jericho. Those theme songs get a lot of hate. I like them. I'm one of the few.
I liked Jericho. I thought that one was good.
Jericho's first theme song was awful, just as much as this show the mashup theme was terrible. But fucking the Jericho theme kicked ass.
Yeah.
The second one, the actual theme where they tried.
Yeah. But anyhow, Show Miz had just won the tag titles in a triple threat tag match against the Straight Edge Society and DX. And John Morrison and R-Truth had been teaming on and off as a tag team. They were like friends. You would see them backstage together, but they would form a tag team. They won a number one contenders tag title triple threat match against Crime Time and the Hard Tendency to earn this opportunity. And there was some storyline behind this match because The Miz and John Morrison had been a tag team before this. That's basically the storyline, though. There was nothing. There's like nothing else. They didn't really try much to really. They never really brought up the history all that much between Morrison and Miz. It was just kind of a tag title match randomly thrown on the show.
And it really should have been a lot more discussed there.
Yeah. Going through the match, John Morrison and The Miz start the match. Morrison dominates The Miz in the beginning. He tags in R-Truth. The Miz is struggling to get the advantage, so he tags in the Big Show.
Oh,
Big Show.
Their tag team name, by the way, just not to throw you off, Owen, but their tag team name between R-Truth and John Morrison was actually Wisdom of Truth.
It was. They never said it, but I think that's the name that like the IWC gave him and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, Big Show gets tagged in. He hits a fall away slam on R-Truth, and he cheap shots John Morrison, just face palms him, knocks him off the apron. He goes for the Big Show bomb that he misses every time off the top. Morrison ends up hitting an enziguri, which causes him to fall. R-Truth moves. Morrison gets a hot tag on Miz. He starts going off on Miz. Eventually, he hits a Spanish fly, but the Big Show breaks up the pinfall before he can Morrison can win. And then R-Truth attacks the Big Show. He goes for a dive on the outside. Big Show catches him, rams him spine first into the post, and Morrison gets a little bit more offense, and he nearly wins the match with a roll up. Eventually, Big Show makes a blind tag. Morrison goes for that springboard spin kick that he would like to hit, but while he's on the ropes, Big Show knocks him out and covers Morrison and gets the win. Show Miz, we retain the unified tag team titles. Now, what I just said, that sounds like a good match, right? You would think, oh, that sounds like a decent tag match. All of that I just said legitimately was 2 minutes. That was the whole match. It was only 2 minutes.
2 minutes for the unified, by the way.
Yeah.
Unified tag team championships, which, say what you will, but like before in 2009, it was a really good tag division back then. I
Yes.
mean, you really think
And unifying the belts was a big deal.
Yeah, you know, Cologne. Even though it was on the pre-show, for the first quarter of the year, you had the Colognes versus the Miz feuding for them.
Yes.
Or the Colognes versus Miz and Morrison feuding for them. And then afterwards, it was, you know, it would go off of the Miz and Morrison, or it would go off the Colognes to who won them off the Colognes?
Edge and Jericho,
Edge
but then when Edge
Jericho,
got injured,
and then Edge got injured, and then it was Edge and Jericho and Big Show, which was a great fucking team.
I mean, the best way, I feel like the best way to describe this, so you don't have to remember everything, at TLC, the tag titles main evented. It was DX versus Jericho. That's how legitimate the division at that time.
Before
so
that, like even they even had side programs with the Legacy versus DX, even though the Legacy should have won. But still, like the tag team division was on fire, and you include the Straight Edge Society in that too. Like their tag division was rocking, and they don't even get 2 fucking minutes on this year's Mania.
More specifically, the match was 3 minutes and 20 seconds. If you want a more specific time, that's how long the match was.
It's still way too short. They got fucking so shortchanged.
Especially too with all the storyline that the Miz and John Morrison like had with each other.
Dude,
like this match should have been longer.
Story. There should have been way longer.
But I don't remember them even building it properly on TV though.
No.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it was just. I don't know, I remember the match live too, and it was like. I don't want to say people were bored of it, but they certainly weren't as hyped up as they were for literally everything else.
Yeah.
Like, hell, people were even hyped to, we'll get to it, see Vicky wrestle because they wanted to see Vicky lose.
Yeah.
But,
I give the match like...
Go ahead.
I gave the match like 2 stars. Nothing in the match was bad. It was just way too rushed. Way too rushed of a match.
I agree. 2 stars is the fair rating. I wish I could rate it higher because,
yeah.
Would you...
I'm going to give it 2 stars as well because, like I said before, the best part of the match, bar none, was that theme song.
I have to say, too, like, this is just like...
Thank you.
I hated it.
They just showed like the...
My buddy Chad Gable would say, thank you.
But yeah... I feel like this really showed.
That's what I wanted to do with that fucking theme song. Sheesh.
Cheers, please.
But yeah, this really showed the decline of the tag division because the tag title match was 2 thrown together tag teams in a match wasn't even built up at all. Like it was just terrible. The only reason Morrison and Truth too like never clicked really as much of a tag team. Like it's a very hated tag team that everybody hates in the 2010s. They just didn't have that chemistry that I think a lot of people wanted them to have. So,
well, the issue, I already kind of alluded to it, was Big Show. They had no idea what to do with him at this time.
Yes.
But they wanted to do something with him.
Yeah.
So, at first, they're like, well, we'll stick you with Chris Jericho. And then they wanted to do some more with Chris Jericho. And they're like, all right, well, we'll stick you with Miz. And then they wanted to start doing more stuff with Miz. Okay. Just
a lot.
Chill.
You know what the match?
A lot of people.
You know what? I have the idea. You know what the match should have been? And this is how they could have gone around it. The match, honest to God, it should have been. And by the way, why is my microphone so fucking? Oh yeah, because I was on live stream with Jeff the other day. But the match they should have done was should have been Daniel Bryan and The Miz defending the tag titles because Big Show got injured. Because that would have made sense for them to lose it here versus The Miz, Morrison and Truth. And then they should have given them all the time in the fucking world because the talent in that would have been ridiculous.
For sure.
But
this is Big Show's first Mania win where he actually got to get the pinfall because, which was cool for Big Show. Very big moment for him.
Got a Mania win. Holy shit.
Yeah. He actually got the win himself too. He didn't need anybody else to help him get the win, so that's very good for the Big Show. And then immediately following this, Show Miz didn't even last much longer as a tag team. They would lose the belts at the draft show to the Hart Dynasty, and then Big Show turned babyface for like the millionth time in his career and went to SmackDown, and the Miz stayed on Raw doing the draft. So
there you go.
and I think too, what sucked about this show Miz as a tag team, I don't necessarily mind when they do this. Miz should have had a U.S. title match on this show. Like the Miz was the United States champion. He didn't defend the belt. Like it's like what the. And he should have defended the belt.
I think the problem is, all things considered, they never should have put the belts on Big Show and Miz.
Definitely.
That's my thing. I honestly,
think they needed.
And you know what? Not for nothing, but you could have had a tag match between the Straight Edge Society and Rey Mysterio and John Morrison.
Yeah.
Because they were friends. They had an established friendship on TV, so you could have made that work.
Yeah, for sure.
But I don't know.
Continuing though.
Real quick before you continue, Zero's been commenting in the chat. I want to read his stuff. He is a big fan of the Aztecian pyramid that they did for the Mania set that year. Really good set. We already talked about that. And he completely eviscerates 35 stage setup. He says 35 was a 4K stage. Trying to get WrestleMania caught in 4K. Zero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, when you're right, you're right.
Yeah, he's right.
But,
he's good. He's funny.
Continuing, WrestleMania. It showed WrestleMania week, everything that happened during WrestleMania week. The golf tournament that they did. There was a funny thing they did in the golf tournament where Santino Marella was surprised he got a golf cart because he like crashed the last one, and it showed him like crashing the golf cart. It was really funny.
That was good.
What they did, the WrestleMania lead-in challenge. They did obviously Access. They did something else. I don't remember what it was, but it was just basically everything they did for WrestleMania week. Now, can you guys correct me if I'm wrong? Was this when like the Indies? I mean, I know the Indies were always involved, but was this when the Indies like started to get involved more with WrestleMania week, with like ROH and things like that?
Yeah.
Or was that still kind of a ways away?
I mean,
no,
I think
they were involved.
Trying to get involved, but there's a difference between trying and actually doing it, I think.
No,
yeah.
I mean, the thing is, though, they were getting involved big time. Like, all the companies were getting involved. Impact would get involved, or no, it did Impact get involved?
No, Impact.
They stayed at Universal. I know Ring of Honor tried like hell. They were definitely trying to capitalize on that, and a lot of indies were, but it wasn't as like established the indie scene as it is today. But like, they definitely were trying. So yeah, I remember why they were airing these packages now. Like, we have the better experience. Here's the problem with these, and now it just occurred to me why all these matches were short on fucking time. Why didn't you air this like on the pre-show?
They didn't have a pre-show back then.
Well, therein lied the problem, because no way should any match get cut short because you're airing packages that mean nothing to the grand scheme of the show.
That's fair.
I'm sorry. Like, I love that you're reading your kids. It's good for you. You're doing good. You're doing God's work there. Great. And I love that you had fun playing golf. Dude, that took like 3 minutes. That was unnecessary from the matches. Anyway.
Yes.
Going to the next match, it was a triple threat match. It was Ted DiBiase Jr. versus Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton. I find it kind of significant that we're doing this as part of the retros this year, because this was Cody Rhodes' first Mania. And I know how he has this thing where he says from undesirable to undeniable. I almost said the opposite, from undeniable to undesirable. That would have been bad. But boy, was that more true for Cody Rhodes here. There's a reason he says that all the time. But let's go through the storyline of the match and everything like that. So all these three guys formed Legacy in 2009. They were a fairly dominant faction. I feel like this faction's overrated because a lot of people talked about how the faction was successful. In my opinion, I didn't necessarily hate the idea of the faction. I just hate the way it was booked, because they were pretty much Randy Orton's lackey so he could keep the championship. And I know that's what Evolution was booked for, but at least the guys in Evolution had their own storylines or anything like that. DiBiase Jr. and Cody, yes, they had their own storylines, but they never won any of their feuds in their storylines. They always lost. They were pretty much Randy Orton's lackeys.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing was we all waited for this triple threat match. The idea was supposed to be that it was actually meant to be a breakout for Ted DiBiase Jr. He had just been in the Marine 2, and he was supposed to get a big babyface push in 2010. Boy, did they screw up this feud massively, because they started teasing dissension in the faction when Cody Rhodes inadvertently cost Randy Orton the WWE Championship at the Royal Rumble. And Elimination Chamber. Ted DiBiase Jr. eliminated Randy Orton from the Chamber match. And then they really screwed up the storyline, because they were meant to turn on Randy. They had this thing planned backstage where they were going to turn on Randy doing a 6-man tag. But instead, Randy Orton smartened up to it, and he turned on them, making them look like a bunch of geeks. And they did obviously get the heat back. They beat Randy Orton in a 2-on-1 handicap match. And Randy Orton decided to have this triple threat match, so that way they would have to fight each other. And then the thing that sucks about this match, though, there was nothing on the line of the match where they really had to fight each other. Like, they didn't put a title shot on the line. They didn't put, like, the winner gets, like, extra money or whatever like that. It was just they were having a triple threat match, and because of the triple threat rules, they would have to fight each other. So they really should have, like, added an incentive where they would have no choice but to fight each other. And I say that because it kind of leads to the match. But Randy Orton was clearly a babyface at this time, and he did get over eventually as a babyface. I just think it was the wrong choice to have Randy be the babyface in this feud. It just really didn't make any sense. Because everything that they were that Ted DiBiase Jr. and Cody Rhodes said about Randy Orton was true. He was using them, and it really should have been a breakout moment, really, for DiBiase Jr. It could have been one for Cody too, but the reason I say the reason I'm okay with Cody not being the breakout is because this is obviously with the benefit of hindsight. It makes his Mania storyline now. I want to keep that storyline going as of right now, so it's kind of like whatever. Because if Cody had become the breakout star, the wrestling business would be at a completely different stage. There'd be AEW wouldn't have been as big, so that's why I'm okay with Cody not being the breakout star out of it.
But that's it. But back then, were we pissed? I mean, even then, like, everybody claimed that Junior was going to be the star, the breakout star. A lot of people. Yeah, but it wasn't.
Going through the match, it's a 2-on-1 handicap match throughout the beginning portion of this matchup. Randy Orton does the best he can to fight off Ted DiBiase Jr. and Cody Rhodes. And he's successful at first, but eventually the numbers game catch up to him. They beat him up. They had a double suplex onto him, which was cool. Randy Orton would get a little bit of a comeback, but he would consistently get cut down. They do this cool thing where he goes for a clothesline on a DiBiase Jr., and DiBiase Jr. turned it into one of his own, where, like, he follows Randy Orton to the rope and hits a clothesline himself. That was a really cool spot. Eventually, Cody Rhodes acts like he's going to go for the moonsault, and DiBiase Jr. goes for the win. And Cody gets upset about this, that DiBiase Jr. is going to take the credit for the win. And he throws Jr. outside the ring. Cody hits an Alabama slam on Orton, and DiBiase Jr. picks up the pinfall. And then the implosion finally happens between DiBiase Jr. and Cody. And this is why I say this did not feel natural at all. This felt really forced that they turned on each other.
Slammer. Sorry.
But yeah, this felt really forced that they turned on each other, because I know this is like fighting for wins and Mania and everything like that, but this is why, like, they didn't put anything on the line. So it's not like if they won this match, they were going to win anything out of it anyway. So what's the point of even turning on each other? Like, the whole thing, you hate Randy Orton. They even said on Raw, it doesn't matter who wins. And all of a sudden, like, on here, they're all upset about it. It didn't make any sense at all. But they start brawling with each other. Eventually, this allows Randy Orton to mount a comeback. He hits his patented Randy Orton moves. He attacks. He attacks.
With all
Like,
headlock.
it's like you know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's his comeback. Yeah.
I'm gonna stomp you here, and I'm gonna stomp you there, and I'm gonna stomp you everywhere.
I'm gonna hit 2
Yeah.
clotheslines. Gonna hit 2 clotheslines and a power slam. I'm gonna hit the apron DDT to both of you, and then I'm gonna stomp all over your shit, and then I'm gonna hit the RKO and get ready for the RKO. I'm gonna hit a backbreaker on you too while I'm at it. Why the fuck not?
And then I'm gonna get in a motorcycle accident. Oh wait, that didn't happen for a few more years.
The one thing that's annoying when you watch this is with the disaster of hindsight is Michael Cole has all the lines that he would say about Randy Orton that you hear him say all the time nowadays. No absence of malice, the Viper, the Apex Predator. It's so like this is when he was like really trying to get that. Well, let me be more specific. When Vince was really trying to get that stuff over. It's so annoying to hear Michael Cole say that.
Goddamn right.
But yeah, Cody hits but Randy Orton's fighting with DiBiase Jr. on the outside. Cody goes for a dive, and Orton moves out of the way, and he ends up taking out DiBiase Jr. by accident. He hits a double DDT while they're locked into the ropes. And then Randy Orton goes for the punt. No, he acts like he's going to go for the RKO, and then he decides to punt Cody Rhodes instead, which he does. And DiBiase Jr. tries to be an opportunistic bastard and hit the Dream Street on Orton. But he sees it coming, he counters it, and he hits an RKO on Jr. And I think he covered Cody for the win. I give the match 2 3/4 stars. This made DiBiase Jr. and Cody look terrible. This was the wrong result. Randy Orton had no business at all winning this match. There was legitimately no reason. You needed to make a new star, and they had the wrong person win. And while fans were into Randy Orton did not need to be a babyface at this time. It ended up being a disaster. For his character in 2010. The match itself was fine, but it was like they had the wrong person win, and the only one that should have been a babyface was DiBiase Jr. You could have had Cody be a tweener and Randy be a heel, but there was really no reason for any of this to happen. I thought it was a disaster, and it affected the careers of DiBiase Jr. and Cody to the point where Cody had to go make himself a star to finally get main event slot again. By the way, do you guys remember the before I could throw it down to you guys? Because everyone comes out to their own themes. DiBiase Jr. came out to the Legacy theme, and Cody came out to like his first theme. You guys remember how generic Cody's first theme in WWE was? So bad.
Hold on, wait, hold on, and then it gets to the chorus.
It's so bad.
Fairly certain I had a hacked version of Guitar Hero, and that was one of the songs that was like stupid easy to play.
Yeah, no shit, because it is. I will say that it kind of fit Cody back then, though. It did. It did kind of fit Cody back then.
Yeah, it did. But anyhow, James, your thoughts on this triple threat match?
Yeah, wrong result. It was a triple threat match. Hindsight is 2020. I don't understand why they didn't just bring up Joe Henning early. So you could have he would have been a natural fit for the group, and then you could have at least had a Civil War thing with Henning and Orton versus DiBiase and Rhodes. I still maintain, especially now looking at it, like he would debut like not even a year later. Why not just put Henning with them?
Later that year in NXT, he was a season 2 contestant in NXT.
Yeah. So we could have debuted earlier.
And think about the tag team that could have formed out of it. Perfect Fortune, man. It would have been great. DiBiase and Henning. You know.
We booked that, James. Actually,
we did book that. That.
But anyhow, James, your star rating for the match.
My star rating 2 2.25.
Okay. Steve, your thoughts on this match?
So at the time, I was happy that Orton won. I had for like probably a half a year going into this feud started liking Orton, even though like a year earlier I probably hated his guts because I thought it was just such a great, despicable villain. But he had that turn where he really stopped using Legacy, and it was more them getting involved when he wanted to see if he could do things himself. I enjoyed watching him at the time. I did like Orton winning. and he got a big pop.
What happened?
I don't even know. Dude, something's going on with YouTube because it's not my OBS. I was like confused because it said, "Oh, stream has no data," and then it all of a sudden went right back online. So I have no idea what's going on with YouTube's buffering issues. That's ridiculous. Because my thing is fine.
I think we're still on.
Yeah, we're still live. I was scared for a second.
Yeah,
Anyway,
so-
start from the beginning just in case it didn't catch any of that. Sorry.
Yeah, but basically, I was happy to see Orton win. I used to despise him as a villain. He was really good at being a bad guy, plain and simple. But yeah, looking back on it, Cody or Ted probably should have won the match. Would have made a lot more sense. But it was also kind of weird because looking back at it, it's like, man, but one of them has to lose still. It's a triple threat, so it's kind of a messy situation. So maybe they shouldn't have turned both of them at the same time.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe it would have made more sense to turn Ted first on the group. Obviously Cody was the one that cost him at the Rumble. I think should have been Ted that did it.
Yeah.
And then after the fact, you have Cody act like he's split. Like, who's he going to side with? Is he going to side with the guy he's been teaming with, or is he going to side with the mentor?
Yeah.
And basically, you could have done a segment where, Orton is like beating Cody down, but he's really not laying in the shots, and that turns out it's a setup, and Cody turns on, Ted, and they beat him down.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Would have made more sense.
Yeah, you could have done something where. Yeah, you could have done something where you have it just be a one-on-one with Ted DiBiase Jr. versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania.
Right.
And gone from there. You could have had Ted win, and then, I know you had said you wanted Kurt Hennig to team with
DiBiase.
probably team with Ted at Perfect Fortune, but, you could have also stuck with Cody. I think either one would kind of work there.
Definitely.
I agree,
but because props to Cody where he is now, but back then I think he needed more time.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
Dad, for sure. I will say before we continue,
I think
the match was good.
Match was alright. What would you give it for a star rating? Did you give it a star rating? Yeah,
3 stars.
Fair enough. Before we continue with this, Zero left another comment relating to this. He said, "Want to hear something crazy?" We already know this because we are video game aficionados when it comes to the WWE, at least. The triple threat feud was actually an SVR 2010 Road to WrestleMania. So technically, SVR started it, and it was better. I firmly agree with this.
It actually was, yeah.
It was way better. It was not even close.
I remember too. Everybody was a heel when they did it in the triple threat match there too.
Yeah, because it made sense. It should have been It should have been a heel versus heel versus heel matchup.
And you know what gave it away at this Mania? That Orton was definitely a face now. It's something very subtle that not a lot of people know. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people actually noticed it is. When it was bad guy, he got up on the turnbuckle and he just did the deadpan stare to the crowd. When he was good guy, he got up and he did the old school pose.
Yep. And obviously, another thing is when he just sets up for the RKO, he does he pounds the mat beforehand and everything like that. So I don't think he does it as a heel. I think he just at least at that time he didn't do it as a heel. So
yeah, well, I thought he did.
And
then
this is cut
as a heel, but yeah.
It was more known that he was doing it though he did it more as a face than a heel though. So.
Right, yeah.
This is cut from the Peacock/the network, but I found this on a Discord live stream. It says a "Don't try this at home" ad. This is that infamous thing that James and I always make fun of Rey Mysterio for, where he says,
"I had surgery 5 times in my left knee." Oh,
give me suck my knees act.
Yeah, he's probably had surgery like 9 times now on his left knee, but who's counting?
I bet Dominic goes as his knee brace for Halloween every year now.
Oh my God, no!
He just puts on a giant, oversized knee brace. And walks
Come
around.
on, man, that's fucked up. Leave
I'm
my boy alone.
the dad's knee brace. $100. Anyone who can tell me how many times I've been worn after surgery.
No. Leave him be. He's a Hall of Famer now. Leave him be.
No, he's not a Hall of
Not
Famer
yet.
yet. He's not
He's
yet. He's
gonna
get
be.
inducted first.
He's gonna be. He's gonna be. Leave him alone.
You could put,
I
you could
really
pull,
hope. I'm just waiting for like Judgment Day to be like, "Hey Ray, remember that time you let your daughter go out with that dude from AEW? That was fun."
He's a weird Donnie now with the House of Blackus.
By the way, Steve, I don't know if you watched Raw Talk. Do you remember when like Judgment Day was like originally feuding with Ray? They made fun of that segment when Rhea Ripley does the pull-ups onto the.
Oh my god, that was hilarious. That was hilarious. I love Ray, but that's still one of the funniest botches ever in history. And he even laughed too afterwards. Like Cena was like, "Holy moly!" and everybody started cracking up.
Yeah.
How do you not laugh? Like, and anyhow, this has also come from the network. Josh Matthews is backstage, and he hypes up like this person's like fighting for their career. Like, you think it's going to be Shawn Michaels he's talking about, but instead he's talking about Vicky Guerrero because Vicky Guerrero like forced him to say that since at the time Vicky Guerrero was the consultant to the SmackDown general manager. Vicky cuts a promo with her team talking about how they're going to embarrass the babyface Divas team. We'll talk about that match later on.
Mm-hmm.
And then Santina Morella comes up. Jillian Hall. She also has Jillian Hall's Sinner Song, and obviously because Jillian Hall is a terrible sinner.
You know you are.
I don't even remember what song. Oh, she was singing the song "Simply the Best" because I think that song was like fairly new at the time.
Yeah.
And Santina Morella comes up and he says, "You know what? Anything's possible." Because this is what at the time where if you bit into a Slim Jim, anything would be possible. I think that was a big tagline for Slim Jim back then. So he bites into a Slim Jim, and Jillian Hall turns into Mae Young, and Santina was like, "Okay, yeah, I gotta bite into the Slim Jim again," and he bites into the Slim Jim again, and they're like wearing the same dress that like Jillian Hall was wearing, and then Mae Young turned into Mean Gene Okerlund and Mean Gene Okerlund's dressed up in a dress like, how did I get here? What's going on here? And Santina was like, bites into the Slim Jim again, and then it's Melina this time. And he's like, I guess anything is possible with the Slim Jim. And Melina and Santino leave together. This sounds like one of those segments that's bad, but honestly, because of Santino,
segment. It was a funny segment. But here's my question.
It got funny.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
It got funny. It got funny once Mean Gene Okerlund was out there with the dress.
Oh my god,
that's an image you don't. That's an image you don't want to.
the best at just selling that stuff too. He just feel like, you got to be kidding me.
And I think he even says that too when he shows up too.
I was expecting him to be like,
kind of cut from Peacock.
He just looks at the dress and he's like,
image of me.
He just looks at the dress and he's like, oh my god, fuck off with the fucking reconnecting bullshit. Anyway, sorry. Mean Gene looks at the dress and he's just like, fuck it.
Is that what he said? He said, fuck off with the reconnecting bullshit. How about that?
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, he's
but
like,
anyhow,
fuck it.
But yeah, I liked this segment. I don't know why it was cut from the network version / the Peacock version. I really don't know. I don't know if it's because if it had to do with Slim Jim or whatever, but I really just don't know why it was cut from the network because it just on the network version.
Probably because
I know to the Money in the Bank.
I know exactly why because I don't have the sponsorship no
because
more.
of the Slim Jims because they've cut out a lot of that stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because they did no longer have that sponsorship deal with Slim Jim. That's why. So they're like, yeah.
I've always thought that's stupid. Like, just sign a deal. Like, hey, whenever we decide to show this in future years, don't make us go through the menial task of having to take out every Slim Jim ad. Like,
yeah.
Why is that such a bad thing? Like, leave it in there. It's just less work for us.
Vince was not a smart person by this point, even then.
I know.
That's why.
But anyhow, Steve, do you remember this segment at all? Seeing it live in the arena and things like that?
I do.
Any thoughts about it? Or no.
It was a commercial.
Why are they doing a commercial during Mania? That was going to be my question.
Yeah, I mean, when you're at WrestleMania, you're just in go mode. Like, you don't want to see commercial after commercial. But it's you're just in go.
You
want
to see the colossal tussle, okay? You want to see the wrestles wrestle, all right?
Yes.
The Russells wrestle.
Next match
Russell
was
Jimmies.
the Money in the Bank ladder match. Next match was the Money in the Bank ladder match. It was Kofi Kingston versus MVP versus Evan Bourne versus Jack Swagger versus Shelton Benjamin versus Matt Hardy versus Dolph Ziggler versus Drew McIntyre versus Christian versus Kane. I think this is the most competitors that has ever been in a Money in the Bank ladder match. I don't know what you would call 2020 since that was like 2 ladder matches going on, but this is the most persons in like a single ladder match that's been in the Money in the Bank ladder match. The last time Money in the Bank took place at WrestleMania, I still think this match was missed at WrestleMania. I feel like they need to get why they keep the Money in the Bank pay-per-view because it does really good in buys and things like that. It's become like a big pay-per-view now, but I really think this match is better off at Mania. More memorable moments happen here.
Not big enough to make it a big 5.
Yeah. But anyhow, everybody had a qualifying match to qualify for this Money in the Bank ladder match. The biggest storyline going into the match was Drew McIntyre was really being shoved down our throats. He was the youngest Intercontinental Champion at the time, and he was Vince's chosen one. And he lost like twice to Kane and Matt Hardy in qualifying matches. But Vince would, because he was a chosen one of Vince, he would take those losses out of the record books. And the way that McIntyre qualified was he beat like some jobber. I think it was Aaron Solo, but it was like Aaron Bolo or something like that. That was his name. Yeah. And he beat some jobber to qualify for the match. And it was a good storyline they did with Drew McIntyre. And yeah, everybody in this match except Jack Swagger had a legitimate chance of winning. I say that because he actually ends up winning the match, so it's kind of funny how that happens.
Yeah. I remember this match. It was a very, very good match because it's a Money in the Bank ladder match. I mean,
yeah.
Think of the fucking match. Yeah, think of the athletic motherfuckers in this match, too. Shelton Benjamin, Kofi Kingston, Evan Bourne. I feel like I'm forgetting others.
But yeah, go in the...
There was a few.
It's 10-man, dude. 10-man ladder match here?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, like that's wild. It was such a good match, too. I remember Kofi doing the stilt spot.
That was so cool.
But yeah,
Benjamin doing his run up the ladder spot.
But yeah, going through this, I feel like too we've covered Money in the Bank ladder matches. I really don't think as innovative as a concept as it is, I really don't think people talk about this a lot. Money in the Bank ladder matches like really made the I know the TLC matches did, but this really got like the multi-man like single person ladder matches like over. Like they do these all the time now. That's why they're very successful in other places. But yeah, going through the ladder match, Kane had a black eye in this match for some reason. I don't know what happened to Kane.
Yeah, I do just want to say as a side note, personal opinion, I feel like you don't need to differentiate ladder matches and TLC matches anymore because it's like, okay, so am I not allowed to use a table in a ladder match?
Yeah, what the fuck?
I'm not allowed to use a chair in a ladder match.
Why?
Even though you see it happen before. You've seen it happen before too. You've seen.
It's and
that's why TNA had the right idea.
Why you did it the first time because
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it makes sense to do it the first time around, but like I mean, you could probably just go with ladder match from now on.
TNA had the right idea.
Really matter because
TNA had the right idea calling it Full Metal Mayhem, like the.
Yeah,
that was it. I mean, there was your solution.
Yeah,
I remember this match very well. The crowd was hyped for it. There were plenty of people going into it. There were plenty of people who had like different predictions about who would win. Swagger was not one of them. I never heard a single person that weekends or after the fact say they thought Swagger was going to win. And if I remember. Yeah, I wanted Kofi to win, and looking back at it, I still think Kofi should have won.
Yeah,
he was red hot. He obviously had the failed push of 2009, but that didn't derail him.
Yeah,
he just didn't go anywhere. So it was still kind of had that momentum of like, okay, maybe we try again right now. We give him the money in the bank, and then we have a year to figure it out.
But yeah, going through the match, everybody just starts brawling with each other. They all brawl around ringside and things like that. Eventually, somebody puts a ladder into the ring, and Drew McIntyre is the only person in the ring, and he tries to climb the ladder, but he gets stalked by Christian, and they have a big brawl. Big spots in the match is Shelton Benjamin, Kofi Kingston, and it was Shelton Benjamin, Kofi Kingston, and MVP all worked together to take out Kane. And if you look up what the racial differences between these guys, it's pretty. The joke is right there for you. So I'll just say that. Yeah, but they all work together to take out Kane. Other good spots in this match is Dolph Ziggler does the zigzag to Christian off of a ladder. It wasn't as smooth as when he's done it other years, but it was still looked pretty cool. Christian does a reverse DDT to Matt Hardy off a ladder. Evan Bourne hit. So there's a earlier in the match, Jack Swagger tries to win, and Christian and Matt Hardy set up the ladders, leaned up against him, and just rammed Jack Swagger into him. And Evan Bourne tries to use this platform to win the ladder match, but it fails, and he ends up hitting the airborne off a ladder onto Christian, which is a really good spot right there. Everybody works together to take out Drew McIntyre because they told a really good story talking about how Drew McIntyre was the guy that everyone hated this match since he didn't really earn the spot to get into the match, which kayfabe-wise he didn't. Kane looked really strong in this match. He throws a ladder at MVP and Shelton Benjamin. He choke slams Dolph Ziggler onto a ladder, and he takes the ladder and he smashes it against Dolph Ziggler, and he completely breaks the ladder, which sets up that stilt spot that where Kofi tries to win the ladder match by using the ladder as stilt, which was a really cool spot.
Yeah.
He tries, eventually McIntyre cuts it off, and he tries to climb the ladder, but McIntyre pulls the ladder from underneath him, and they have to do it as safe as possible, but they do the thing where Kofi lands spine first on the ladder, but they obviously try to make sure he landed there as safely as possible.
It still looked like it hurt no matter what he did, by the way.
Yeah. Shelton Benjamin hits a really cool dive. The one thing that sucked about this ladder match is you could tell Shelton Benjamin was phoning it in at this point because he doesn't do like a big spot, like a big memorable spot as normal. You could just tell Shelton Benjamin was done at because I'm pretty sure he gets released not long after this show anyways.
Yeah.
So you could just tell
he was gone. He was gone after they had Jack Swagger said, "I guess they called me the gold standard now," and then he's like, "I'm done. Get me the fuck out of here. I am sick of this shit. You have buried me for years. I don't want to deal with this anymore. I'm gonna make something of myself elsewhere," which also didn't really work.
But
I'm gonna be real.
But you could just tell he was done though because he doesn't do anything crazy in this ladder match. He's probably thinking to himself, I bet at this ladder match every year and I never win it. I'm never gonna win it. So why try?
I will say he did kind of make himself a bigger name in Japan because he went to New Japan and him and MVP made a team called Ghetto Strong Style.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fuck yeah.
But yeah, Matt Hardy and Christian work together to take out Kane. They do the Edge and Christian ladder spot where they ram at each other and they sandwich them in the ladders, which was cool. I'm pretty sure they did like a flashback to one of the TLC matches where I believe Matt Hardy hit the Twist of Fate, and I think they have to do it safer this time because I remember in the TLC match, like it was really rough, so they had to do like a safer version of it. I remember that was a thing.
Well, they were also older. They were also older too by this point. Let's put that in perspective too.
Yeah, but eventually, You think Christian's gonna win the match, and Jack Swagger comes up. He hits him off the head with the briefcase. And this is where we noticed it, James, because we talked about this. You could tell they changed the look of the briefcase in terms of like it's not a full-on metal briefcase anymore. Because if you remember from the New Year's Revolution, that was like a full-on metal briefcase. It's definitely not the case here, which I'm happy that's changed. And Jack Swagger's by him. Actually, Steve, why don't you talk about the ending? Because you were actually there in the arena. It's cut from the Peacock version. Talk about Jack Swagger getting the briefcase. I don't know if you remember this, James, but this happened.
I remember.
I didn't watch the Peacock version. I watched my DVD version. The Peacock version, I'm guessing he just grabs it, correct?
He does, yeah.
That is not what happened. That is not what happened at all.
Yeah.
I forget if he swung it or if someone before him swung it, but the briefcase basically swung, and this thing was, for all intents and purposes, swinging uncontrollably. It is a big piece of, I know it's not full metal, but once again, for all intents and purposes, it's a big piece of metal attached to a very thin rope, spinning and swinging around in circles. And Jack Swagger, who is probably the second biggest dude in the match, only to Kane, has to balance himself on this ladder. So he really only has one good hand, and he can't really just waiting for it to come back, basically.
Yeah.
He's standing there, and everyone's booing because, you know, everyone has a good minute to look around and be like, well, they're not getting up, so match is over, but we have to wait for it to actually be over. And, you know, finally gets the briefcase. Jack Swagger gets it, and he didn't even look that excited at first. He just like grabs it, he's like,
yeah,
I have this fucking thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
yeah,
this was the one winner. Really, anybody else but Jack Swagger really had a chance of winning this match.
No,
it's nothing.
No disrespect to Swagger. He wasn't ready.
Yeah, especially too if you remember, I think he won like one match like before this Money in the Bank ladder match. Like he really wasn't doing anything at all.
He cashed in like right after, and nobody wanted it.
Yeah, really, anybody else should have won this match. Like you said, Steve, it should have been Kofi. Let's look at everybody else in the match. It should have been Kofi probably because
I agree. It absolutely should have been Kofi. Kofi should have been the one to win a world title here. 10 years too late here. I also think if you weren't going to go with Kofi and you wanted to give it to a veteran, Christian was the other shout here. Those are the two top picks for me.
That's what I was going to say. We're not doing a retrospective or anything. I'm just going through the picks. You know, Swagger is easily, if I had to rank them, probably the bottom of the list. Christian, probably top 3. Ziggler is probably also top 3.
Yeah.
I would make...
If I had to rank them, I'd probably go
Kofi, Christian, Ziggler, McIntyre as like... And then...
I put McIntyre and Bourne in like mid-tier. Kane...
I'd say
Kofi always number 1.
I'd say just because there was a good shot, it would have been Kofi number 1, Christian number 2, Matt Hardy number 3, McIntyre number 4-ish, and then Ziggler number 5. Those are like your top 5. I don't know why any one of those would have been a better shot than fucking Swagger, who was literally number 10 on the list of people to win this match.
And I forgot, MVP and Shelton both could have been great options too.
Yeah. I mean, it's one. I know they've liked to do surprise Money in the Bank winners. I mean, the biggest example of it was CM Punk, obviously, at WrestleMania behind him when he won the Money in the Bank ladder match.
Yeah.
Jack Swagger had no momentum. And I remember they got the winner one at 25. Nobody wanted CM Punk to win, but they fixed that by turning him heel. That actually ended up making like an okay decision. There was just no way to make Swagger. The funny thing is too, this is an example of where Vince has impatience when it comes to the Money in the Bank, because he actually could have built Swagger into a contender, but he wasted it by having him cash in the briefcase like 6 days later. Like literally, what a waste.
Yeah, what a freaking waste that was. And they was doing a Jericho gimmick, and then he fucking goes behind the stage, and then he keeps doing the Jericho gimmick after he beats Jericho, and then during the same fucking show he comes out and he turns into a geek, and then Big Show knocks him out for it.
Yeah.
This is all in the
but,
same show.
Yeah. But you can make the argument this is where they started to get the Money in the Bank one a little bit by having the one winner and and them just throwing away the briefcase. This is like the first blunder of the Money in the Bank ladder match. But
And to think there would be
all
two,
that considered,
two
though,
more after
this is-
this.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue.
With that said, though, this is still a great ladder match. Probably one of the best Money in the Bank ladder matches because of how many people were in the match and just how fun it was.
Yeah.
I give it 4 stars. It'd be 4.5 had the win, but the winner really wins the match. What do you think, Steve?
I'm gonna go 3.5.
Okay.
I really didn't like Swagger winning.
Yeah, Swag. I
What about
agree
you,
with Steve. I agree with Steve. 3.5 would have been a
I-
four. Would have been a 4.5. It drops down a star because of the fucking winner here.
Yeah, I was gonna say, James, I think it was a 4-star match, and I'm of the belief that an ending affects the match more than anything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because that's
It
what
is
people
a make
remember.
or break. You can have a 5-star match, and if the wrong person wins, becomes a 4-star match. That's my personal opinion.
Yep.
People don't have to agree with it. That's just me. I think this is a 4-star match. If Kofi won, I probably would be telling you it's a 4.5-star match.
Yeah.
And if Swagger won, I'm telling you it's a 3.5-star match, and that's where I'm at.
If you have the
But
right...
I'm going to be honest.
Go ahead. Yeah,
I forgot... I'll be honest with you. I actually thought this ladder match sucked before I watched it yesterday because Swagger won. I'm like, whoa, this ladder match is actually great. But then Swagger wins, it really ruins the match. Like,
Yeah.
I suppose you could say that Swagger was such a bad choice that they decided to hold the Money in the Bank again that year.
Yeah.
Obviously, that was planned well in advance, but one can imagine.
I
Yep.
will say this as well because I think the general rule is if you book the right finish, people remember the rest of the match. If you book the wrong finish, Mandela effect happens and you don't remember a fucking thing for that match. That's just a time and truth thing that's happened for wrestling fans for their entire time of being a fan, and it's really hard to break that cycle. But it's not really something they should be expected to do because, quite frankly, Vince, you should have, booked the right person over! So.
yeah.
WrestleMania 30. If you know the match, you know the match.
Mm-hmm. Actually, in a sense, that's actually either that's the opposite where there was.
I think he's I know he's talking about the streak. I know which one he's talking about.
Yeah, I knew which one he was talking about, but
that match also sucked too. The match sucked because Taker got concussed halfway through.
But anyhow, continuing. We had the Hall of Fame.
Through.
Yeah, we had the Hall of Fame segment. And Steve, since you have the program, why don't you take us through the class of the 2010 Hall of Fame was?
Sure. So we got Scott Steiner again, Scott Steiner third time.
Yeah, Scott Steiner's so great. He beat the Hall of Fame. He was the whole class.
Yeah, he was the whole class.
Scott Steiner's fat asses.
Yeah, didn't the Steiners go in the year prior? I think they did, right? Yeah, that was cool. Anyway.
Yeah, they're in.
All right. You read the actual class. I got to get a drink.
Okay.
All right. So we had Ted DiBiase was the headliner.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, he was inducted by Ted Jr. I'm guessing if I pull up the wiki page alongside it, because I have the guide right here, but it'd probably be better for me to pull up the.
And we gotta get that guide. We gotta get that guide some use though. So.
Yeah, that's true. It goes through it goes through the past Hall of Fame classes too. So I'm actually gonna do that right now. Is pull up the wiki on it because that shows who also inducted them. This doesn't.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
So we had Ted DiBiase was the headliner. Yep, Ted DiBiase Jr. and Brett DiBiase, his brother, were the ones who inducted him in. Antonio Inoki was also inducted this year.
Yeah.
He founded New Japan. There is nothing else I have to say, and yet everything else to say about Inoki. He
Mm-hmm.
You know, absolute legend. You know, America had Hulk Hogan, Japan had Antonio Inoki.
Yeah. Well, how crazy it
Straight
is. I guess he got it because if New Japan was as big as it was later on, he probably wouldn't have gotten inducted. Like it was kind of a perfect time for him to get inducted before New Japan like became like big and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it was pretty big back. It was pretty big back then, but before it became like as big as it did like later on in time.
Yeah. So James, we've established that Ted DiBiase was inducted by DiBiase Jr. and Brett DiBiase.
Yeah.
Antonio Inoki was inducted by Stan Hansen, and he was obviously just huge. I mean, for people out there who think Hulk Hogan was a one-trick pony, that is very false.
New Japan.
Watch his matches in New Japan. You see that Hogan was very much a 5-star wrestler if he was allowed to be. Keyword, allowed.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Wendy Richter was inducted by Roddy Piper. Obviously, the story going into this one was for years there was bad blood between Vince and Wendy because they were both played by a third party, the fabulous Moolah.
The original
Fuck the bitch.
Yep.
Sorry.
She disguised herself as the Spider Lady and won the match. And obviously, Wendy
for a shoot,
did
by
not
the
know
way.
about this.
For a shoot.
Yeah, it was a shoot. She forced her shoulders down, and Wendy was like, "What the fuck?" And then immediately after, pulls off the mask. So, like, that was like her legitimately being like, fuck you. And obviously, time healed that wound, and also probably showed Vince that Moolah is a fucking piece of shit.
Did he? Because he tried to fucking book a battle royal named after her before Snickers threatened, no the fuck you're not.
Yeah, good point.
So.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe not so much that second one, but definitely the first one. The wound between Vince and Wendy healed at least.
I think she only. I'm gonna be honest. I think she only did it so that way she could heal herself, and I still don't think to this day she talked to Vince besides that day. You cannot convince me she did. No way.
Maybe, I don't know, but you know what? Maybe for her sake, she just let it be because she didn't want to hang on to it, and if so, good for her. But who knows? Who knows? Perhaps I'm being overly optimistic. I mean, when it comes to however bad you think Vince is, Moolah's worse, as we've all come to learn.
Mm-hmm. Amen to that.
And I don't enjoy beating a dead horse. Literally, she's dead. She's been dead for a while, but she deserves it. Sorry.
Yeah, she made a lot of people's lives a living hell that didn't need to happen.
Maurice Mad Dog Vachon was inducted by Pat Patterson. I believe this guy was Luna Vachon's father.
Yeah.
And the one thing I always remember is that WWE OMG Top 50 moments. Having Nash ripping his leg off.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny. Yeah.
That was awesome. I mean, I'm just like...
And it was usually like...
That's the last time they did that? 2 words. Zach Gowen.
And then TNA was
out of my way!
Then TNA did it with
Zach Gowen's
Chris
for the
Melendez.
2023 Hall of Fame. Let's go.
Yes, let's go.
TNA did it with Chris Melendez, actually. And believe it or not, I think they did I believe it was a match where like Chris Melendez had to put a prosthetic letter on the line, too.
Credit where credit is due. If you've ever felt one of those things, that thing can kill a man. That thing is hard as hell. That is a big piece of metal.
I'm pretty sure I remember, too, the finish of that match was Shawn Michaels hitting the Sweet Chin Music with the prosthetic leg, too.
I think it was. Gorgeous George was inducted by Dick Bear.
Inducted.
I was reading his name.
Inducted
by Dick.
He was inducted by Dick. There you
go. Yes, he was inducted. Obviously, one of the originators of the flamboyant, arrogant heel character that many would go on to replicate.
Yeah.
And Stu Hart was also inducted. Oh, what are you saying?
Before you finish, I think he had passed by this point, so his wife accepted like his honor and that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
His wife was 90 at that time. His wife was like 97, I think they said. Like,
yeah, she was old. Posthumous inductee Stu Hart was inducted by Bret Hart. Does it say who accepted it?
the Hart family.
Yeah, so
entire
he just
family, yeah.
he basically inducted it and accepted it. I mean,
Yeah.
no one's going to argue with that, though. Stu Hart, obviously the founder of the Hart Family Dungeon. You hear the stories. I think the one that sticks out to me is the one that he used to cook burgers and scoop cat poop with the same spatula.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh yeah, it's going to make you tough. Like, this dude's a fucking psycho.
Yeah. I remember
the Hart Family Dungeon is still run to this day. I think the Hart family just kind of, together, they just run it, taking turns, whoever's running it. I have heard stories that apparently Natalia is the one person you don't want to get training you because she's apparently, quote, as ruthless as Stu. I actually read up on that.
Damn.
I don't doubt it, and if that's true, then I don't know why WWE doesn't have her maybe take a step back and start working in the Performance Center more.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, Natalia is still a survivor of the Hart Family Dungeon. That is a small list.
Yeah.
A very small list. And then the celebrity inductee was Bob Uecker.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
He was a good one. He was a guest announcer for WrestleManias 3 and 4. I know Celebrity Wing gets a lot of flack, but yeah, he had the choking thing with Andre.
Yeah. Who was he inducted by?
He was inducted by Dick Ebersol, a friend of his. I believe he's another.
Oh yeah, Dick Ebersol, friend of his. That all makes sense. It all connects.
Yeah.
Yep, and this is someone who belongs in the Celebrity Wing because he was just well associated with those moments.
His speech from the clips of it and stuff looked really funny too. Mm-hmm. I liked how he mentioned that like he didn't really get the Celebrity Win. Like I didn't really notice this until he pointed it out that like the Hall of Fame win for the celebrities is much different than the Hall of Fame like win from like actual Hall of Famers and stuff like that. Like it's really fun. Like he was really funny doing his speech.
Yeah. I say I don't want to get the video flagged for music, but I kind of want to play the old school Hall of Fame theme just so I can do, ladies and gentlemen, hot 110 class Hall of Fame.
Yeah. No one got like a big entrance to like usually the headliner comes out like gets his own entrance, but that didn't happen in 2010.
Yeah.
But yeah, good Hall of Fame class. Good Hall of Fame class.
That song is better than Living in the Hall of Fame.
I agree.
I agree.
What were you saying, Owen? Go ahead.
We're not going to do career retrospectives on Hall of Famers just because
the career retrospective is they got into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's the retrospective.
Career retrospective to get your own video.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm
trying to think. What movie is it where Bob Uecker's like doing the baseball commentary? He's like, "Oh yeah, we got a chance to win." And, like someone smacks a homer, he just goes, "Oh shit."
Yeah. Oh yeah. Fuck.
It's not Major League, right?
That might be Major League. Yeah. It's where the fucking team could not get a win for the life of them until they finally do. Yeah. I forget.
Yeah, we had the next match. It was Triple H versus.
It is Major League.
Yep.
It is.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, we had the next match. It was Triple H versus Sheamus. The reason for this match, obviously, in real life, Triple H and Sheamus were workout buddies, so that's why Sheamus got like fast tracked to the main event scene before he probably was ready to. As we've seen nowadays, though, I think we can see why Triple H saw something in Sheamus. If you see what Sheamus is like nowadays, like,
especially against Walter and McIntyre, I can't wait for the match. Sorry.
Yeah,
it's a shameful thing.
Lobster head.
Careless.
Yeah,
they wind up bread.
But yeah, Sheamus got fast tracked to the main event scene. He was the WWE champion a month before this, but he lost the belt because Triple H eliminated him from the Elimination Chamber match. And Sheamus took offense to this, and he blindsided Triple H from behind, and he wanted to face Triple H at WrestleMania. Sheamus talked about how he was a big fan of Triple H when he was growing up, and he talked about how He was an opponent that Sheamus always wanted to wrestle, and he wanted to make a name and end the era of Triple H. And the storyline of this match was actually really good, where Triple H talked about how Sheamus was in a similar position to him when he was first coming up to the in the WWE, where he was a new young star. He had all this momentum behind him, and he tried to jump on the biggest main eventer that he could find. And he talked about how Triple H got crushed when he did that, and he had to basically struggle after that match. He had to scratch and claw to become the guy again. Yes. And he talked about how he became the guy that everybody wants to compete with at WrestleMania. And Sheamus had a choice here because a lot of people failed to make a name for themselves because Triple H would beat them and they would fade away into obscurity. But the ones that succeeded became all-time legends such as John Cena and Batista. And Sheamus obviously made the choice, and it led to this match right here at WrestleMania. Really good storyline to the match.
It was really good, yeah. It was not bad at all. Like a lot of people thought that the storyline sucked, and I'm like, no, not really.
Yeah,
I really liked how it made.
I do have to give you a slight correction, Triple H. What about that guy that beat you in 2004 at WrestleMania? What happened to him?
Yes.
Okay. Let's just say he faded away into obscurity for a different reason. So, but anyhow, I do like the storyline though. I liked how there was like that similarity between Triple H and Sheamus and stuff. And going through the match, this was Triple H's first match, by the way, other than 23, where he was an active competitor and he wasn't in a title match at Mania. This was the first one since WrestleMania 17, which is freaking crazy. That he didn't fight for like a world championship or anything like that. So that was pretty cool. I liked how the commentators throughout the match were putting over Sheamus because they talked about how he may be a rookie, but he was like wrestling like a veteran in the match. I especially loved Kim. Kim was really putting over Sheamus in this match. I thought it was really good commentary work by Jerry the Kid Lawler right here. Yeah. Then again, I wonder if it was because he was afraid of Sheamus and kayfabe because he had a run-in with Sheamus like not long before this. So I wonder if he was scared of Sheamus.
Yep.
Anyhow, going through the.
Go ahead, Steve.
I remember something very in particular about this match. In my section, there was a guy who had one of the best signs I've ever seen in my life. It was a hybrid drawing of Sheamus and Beaker.
They are related. They are related.
They are related.
Yeah. In canon, they are related.
Yep.
But yeah, going through the match, Triple H and Sheamus start locking up with each other. They have like a really aggressive lock-up with each other. Triple H starts attacking Sheamus. He hits a clothesline out of the ring. He throws him back first into the barricade, and he bounces his head face first off the steps. He locks him into a figure four leg lock, but Sheamus is able to get to the ropes. And Triple H attacks Sheamus on the outside, but before he can really do anything to him, Sheamus lured Triple H out there so that way he can throw him into the steps. And this is that goofy thing where the steps like topple over. And he didn't even throw like Triple H that hard into the steps, but somehow these steps were like toppling over. It didn't even make any sense. I always hate that spot. I'm glad that spot's not a thing anymore, really. But Sheamus dominates Triple H. He hits 2 Uranagis into a backbreaker in a row, which was cool. He dominates Triple H for a little bit more. He hits the running power slam onto Triple H, but Triple H kicks out. Eventually, Triple H mounts a comeback. He hits the high knee, and there's at one point where Triple H does a signature face buster. And this is funny because you hear, I don't know if you heard this, Steve, when you were there live. You heard somebody in the crowd call out face buster, like he knew Triple H was going for that face buster. Like,
yeah, he like called the spot, out loud.
He got booed. We booed him. He was wrong.
Yeah.
Something on the lever.
There you go.
But and then eventually Sheamus takes back control. He goes for the high cross power bomb, but Triple H counters it, and he walks him in a crossface, but Sheamus gets to the ropes. Triple H takes Sheamus to the outside. He bounces him head first onto the Spanish announce table. He throws him back into the ring, and Sheamus uses this to hit a pump-up bicycle kick onto Triple H, and Triple H kicks out of it.
And
Triple H was, but it wasn't called that back then, so we can't call it that now.
Exactly.
So
the boot to the head, they kept calling it on commentary, which pissed me off. You got a bicycle kick. You got a bicycle.
Yeah.
It's the non-carbon footprint.
But anyhow, Triple H kicked out of it, and I think Matt Striker said it was the first time somebody kicked out of the pumped bicycle kick. I don't know if that's true or not. I say that because Matt Striker got a lot of facts wrong on this show, so that's why I don't think it's true.
For a teacher, he got a lot of his shit wrong.
Yeah.
The biggest fact he got on the show was he mentioned that Shelton Benjamin had been in every Money in the Bank ladder match, and that was not true because he wasn't in.
23 would like to speak to you.
Yeah.
You were close. Just
I remember there's something that he says too, where he mentions that like Kane was like the first superstar to be in like back-to-back Money in the Bank matches. 24 and 25 would like to speak to you.
That would be CM Punk, as Cole easily corrected him here.
Yeah, so I don't know if he was just nervous because it was his first Mania, or what. But
he had some good quotes here, but yeah, there were the mistakes were noticeable. But he had really good quotes, which we'll get to later.
So that's why I do. But eventually, Triple H hits the double A spine buster onto Sheamus, but Sheamus kicks out, and then they fight to ringside. Sheamus hits the pump up bicycle kick while Triple H is like against the ropes while Sheamus is on the outside, which was really cool. And then Sheamus goes to finish off Triple H, and Triple H was playing possum, and he ends up hitting a pedigree out of nowhere and beats Sheamus. Sheamus just lost. He just lost out of nowhere. It was really stupid.
Yep. It was.
Yeah.
This is why I say that. This is why I say this because Sheamus needed to win this match for two reasons. One, it was a new star. They really needed to put over that. You notice this is a typical thread on this show. It's a new star. They need to put over the new star. Then the new star doesn't win. You notice that was a thread on this show. The new star that did win shouldn't have won too, which is funny enough. But then this is. But yeah, Sheamus. You really needed to put Sheamus. You really needed to put Sheamus over, especially too, because the whole storyline of the match was that he needed to like make a name for himself. You would think that he would win, but no. Another reason he needed to win is if you guys remember, Sheamus's first title run really was bad. Like he was not a good champion. He always looked like a fluke. He really needed to get a dominant win on Triple H. And I know a lot of people are going to say he got the win back in Extreme Rules.
Does anyone here know whether or not his first win was a fluke or not? I haven't been able to get a definitive answer.
Oh, it was definitely a fluke.
That was the tables match. That was the tables match with John Cena.
He did a little sissy push. Cena fell through the table and he won the belt.
Like I still can't get a definitive answer. Like, was that supposed to happen or not?
Yeah, but then I feel like though if it wasn't supposed to happen, they would have just said Cena win the belt back the next night.
Yeah, they had him fight, and then they had him fight Orton in the worst match ever for the WWE title in history.
That was bad.
God, it was awful.
But anyhow, Sheamus needed to win this match, and I think a lot of people are going to blame Triple H for this. But if this one, I blame Vince for, because I think Triple H was totally going to be willing to put over.
Oh
Sheamus
yeah, no, he was a workout buddy of Sheamus. Everybody's like. Let me say what I have said, because I don't know if I've said it on the show yet, so I'm going to fucking say it here. Screw it. For those that say Triple H was responsible for every burial during the Reign of Terror and even after the fact, who the fuck ran the company again? You know why I say that? Because guess who else was booked in the same fashion as a babyface? Roman goddamn Reigns, who threatened to walk out if he didn't fucking turn heel, especially after they fucked up during the pandemic. Roman Reigns. Guess what they did? They finally relented and turned him. So don't tell me that was all Triple H. Suck a dick.
Yeah. Yeah, so I give the match 3 stars, though. I thought Triple H and Sheamus had really good chemistry with each other.
Yeah.
It was just the one result. It should have been.
Big
I know everyone's going to say too. Well, Sheamus got the win back at Extreme Rules. Mania's the show where you should get the big wins. That's the show people are going to remember.
Mania is the place to make a star. If you don't put him over at Mania, nobody gives a fuck.
Yep.
And if you
the proof of that is, it was just 3-star match. I give it 3 stars. A decent enough match, but at the same time, Sheamus gets the win back, and then either at Extreme Rules or the night after, he like smacks Triple H with a pipe, and Triple H is out for a year because he got hit with a pipe.
Yep.
With a pipe. Meanwhile, this motherfucker. Was he injured
at the time? I forget.
No, he wasn't. He just took time off. But like they couldn't have figured out a better way. Like he injured his quad again or something. Like this motherfucker has finished matches with torn quads. This guy has been out for a year plus twice with a torn quad, and you have him be out for a year because he got hit in the head with a pipe.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Meanwhile, this guy survived the fucking car fall from Austin.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was there the next night. Wasn't he on Raw the next night too? Of all things, wasn't he on Raw the next night? Like,
celebrating with Michaels. Yep.
And it brings me back to a point. Sheamus got the win back, but he had to take out Triple H before the match anyways to get the win. So it's like Sheamus really didn't get put over at the end.
Yeah,
of the day.
It's called Vince McMahon didn't know how to fucking make a top star anymore.
Or didn't want to make a top star. Anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Next match was Rey Mysterio versus CM Punk with Luke Gallows and Serena ringside. And if Rey Mysterio lost, he would have to join the Straight Edge. What was that?
That was my computer. That's good.
Oh, okay.
Fixing something.
Anyhow, I'll go start again.
Good.
So,
all I heard was hurt. Like, whoa.
It's like a computer does not want me to talk about this. And that's not when it made more sense when we talked about the next match. But it's like a computer does not want me.
I have a skit ready for the next match.
But anyhow, we have Rey Mysterio versus CM Punk with Luke Gallows and Serena inside. And if Rey Mysterio loses, he has to join the Straight Edge Society. Really good feud. This might be like my second favorite feud going into Mania. Rey Mysterio and CM Punk were feuding with each other for months. CM Punk had just started his Straight Edge Society gimmick / feud. Mainly the faction. He had been doing the gimmick at least for a while, but the faction was fairly new. He had cured Luke Gallows from being Vestus. Very proud of him. And then he, obviously, Serena was brought into the fold when she was like a plant fan ringside that ended up having her head shaved. So she ended up joining the faction as well. And CM Punk was really on like the run of his career at this point. This might be the best, obviously, before his 27 pipe bomb voice of the voiceless gimmick that CM Punk ever was, where he was very much the Charles Manson gimmick. And it's cool that they can make those references back then, because I don't think those references would be accepted if this happened years later. Because I'm pretty sure there's been a lot of stuff that we've that's been more confirmed about Charles Manson nowadays and stuff. I'm pretty sure he got like arrested, like in 2019 or something, or maybe it was 2018. I don't even remember. But anyhow, CM Punk was on a crusade to basically
purify Rey Mysterio, basically,
and purify the WWE universe. And Rey Mysterio eliminated CM Punk from the World Heavyweight Championship Elimination Chamber match. And before that, CM Punk had been beating down Rey Mysterio for months. And Rey Mysterio took exception to this, and he cost CM Punk a Money in the Bank qualifying match. And this was a big deal to Punk because he wanted to be the first superstar to win the Money in the Bank ladder match 3 years in a row, and he didn't get to do that. So how did CM Punk respond? Rey Mysterio came out with his family on an episode of SmackDown, and it was Aaliyah's birthday. I think it was like her 9th or 10th birthday or something. And he was singing happy birthday to her, and CM Punk comes out, and he starts acting really creepy. He sends happy birthday, and he challenges Rey Mysterio to a match. And this is something I have always loved about Rey Mysterio, is he won't fight other wrestlers when his family's around. It's like he wants his family to see Rey Mysterio in a good light. Like, that's one thing you don't do. And he tried to get Rey Mysterio to excite people. He was calling him a coward. He slapped him right in front of him, and Rey Mysterio refused to fight because he didn't want his family to see him that way. And the best part about that whole thing is the video package does a really good job of this, where CM Punk is creepily sitting happy birthday to
demonizing his voice. What a fucking edit! Oh my god, what a prick heel! That was so good.
Punk,
Yeah.
don't worry. Eventually, Ray would stop caring about Aaliyah dating older dudes. It's fine.
Yeah. No, he tried to care, and then he had to relent eventually, if you remember.
He did. He
Um,
did have to relent.
I have a joke I really want to make.
Hey, you know what? At least Rey
Ray
Mysterio is a better father in that regard than Hulk Hogan was. So I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, Dominic Mysterio would like to
Do you
speak.
know who I am?
Hmm.
I'm Bully freaking Ray.
Well, Hulk Hogan tried to
I
relate
used to do this stupid joke where, like, I'd be watching SpongeBob turn on TV. I go, "Do you know who Mermaid Man's villain is? It's Man freaking Ray."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, I love that show. I'm wearing my SpongeBob pajamas right now, actually. So,
Yeah.
All right, so we get
Anyhow,
to the match now. Or
before we
rather,
get to
we
the-
don't get to the match because I have something to talk about that happened during the entrance.
Oh,
But
please.
before the match, one other storyline build-up is Rey Mysterio wanted to have a street fight, so CM Punk made a stipulation that he had to face Luke Gallows on SmackDown, and if he lost that match and the match at Mania, he would have to lose. He would have to join the Straight Edge Society. So since Rey lost to Gallows, that's why the stipulation was in place. So yeah, before we take us through the match, I was going to talk about this to you because you can't see this if you watch this live on the pay-per-view. Talk about the entrance of Rey Mysterio on this.
If you watch it on Peacock, Ray's music hits, you wait for him, and then there he is on the stage, staring at Punk like an idiot.
Yeah.
Why is that? Well,
Okay, well, before you even get to that, Punk also was cutting a promo, which was admittedly pretty good. Before
yes,
It was.
I shouldn't gloss over that. Punk made his entrance and cut a very good straight edge promo, as he always does, just to piss off the crowd. The holier than thou art gimmick was
Yeah.
done to a T by him, and dare I say he's kind of still living that gimmick with AEW right now. Story for another day, though.
Yeah.
To be fair, and what I read, he's not wrong. Really isn't wrong.
I think both sides are right and both sides are wrong, but like I said,
In this case, I
video
think Punk is not exactly wrong, but continue.
So Rey Mysterio's entrance, music kicks up. The pyramid's going crazy with all his different masks showing up, and then the pyro hits. He's supposed to jump out of the trapdoor like he normally does, and he can only do it a limited amount of times because remember, this man had surgery 6 times in his left knee.
I think it was 5 at this. I think it was 5 at this point.
6, 20, I don't know. So anyhow, the trapdoor doesn't work. It breaks. So as it turns out, they had actually reused the same trapdoor mechanism. Like this wasn't like an easy thing to just interchangeably put together. It was the same mechanism they brought to every show from his debut in 2002, I believe it was. And they had actually confirmed that they never made a new one. They just kept repairing the old one because no issue. And so they hadn't used it in a couple months because he'd been doing the run-out entrance where he just points, personal opinion, points like an idiot because I hated that entrance.
Yeah, he yeah.
Like, I feel bad for the guy in his knee, but at the same time, that entrance sucked.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
entrance was pretty bad.
Anyhow, the trapdoor goes off where he doesn't come up. And everyone's like, all right, where the hell is he? So now he has to climb up because he doesn't have enough time to run and go up. Yeah, no. So some people are like, oh, he came out the normal way and just walked out, which is weird. Like, no, he didn't have enough time. He had to reach up. And mind you, Rey Mysterio is not a tall man. So I imagine he's down there. He finally, probably poor Pat Patterson comes up and has to
Did anybody actually?
shove him up
Okay,
there
so
or
did
something.
you see him climbing through? Like, what was he doing?
We're waiting, and all of a sudden you just see out of nowhere, the hand pops up, and he's just climbing out. So he finally shimmies up, and he just stands up, and he's standing there
Yeah,
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Oh shit! I wish I got my mask prepared because I could have done the exact reaction he gave, but it was basically
Yeah.
yeah.
I think the great thing
Now,
about this.
The good news is Ray did keep in tradition of going all out for his WrestleMania attire, depending on what was going on in the year prior leading up to, and 2009 Avatar, James Cameron. came out, huge movie. Ray did a Pandora-inspired Navi attire. Came out, looked badass in it. I thought it was a pretty decent attire.
Definitely one of his better looks.
I say not my favorite, not my least favorite. I think it was probably upper mid tier of his WrestleMania looks.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So if you want to talk about attires that were a bad idea, I'm looking at you, Silver Surfer. Anyhow, he makes his way down to the ring, as per usual after that, because after he pops out of the door, it's just a walk to the ring. There's nothing more said.
So the best part about this, well, before I'll let you talk about the match, but the best part about this, because you didn't hear it on commentary, Matt Stryker even talks about, look at the look in Rey Mysterio's eyes. He looks like a deer in the headlights, because he was a deer in the headlights pretty much when that happened. Like, anyhow, Steve, why don't you break down? I'll let you break down this match for a little bit.
I was gonna say, if you want to go for it, I don't have.
He doesn't have notes. Just break it down. Owen, you're the match breakdown guy for this.
Yeah. So Rey Mysterio and CM Punk start fighting each other. CM Punk dominates the beginning portions of the matchup. He goes for like some type of like drop kick or something in the corner, which he never does, but he did it this time for some reason. Right. Rey moves and CM Punk goes balls first into the post. And then this allows Rey Mysterio to hit a Cena senton onto the outside. And Rey Mysterio hits a springboard, another hurricanrana into the ring. CM Punk hits a really cool clothesline, almost taking Rey Mysterio's head off. He hits a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker. And this is a cool thing. I think Rey hadn't done this for a while. He does the Halloween Havoc 97 spot where he goes off the ropes and he hits the DDT onto CM Punk.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
That was such a clean fucking thing, too. What a great moonsault DDT.
Yeah. Then Rey Mysterio goes for the splash off the top turnbuckle. CM Punk sits up and he tries to go for the cover, but Rey Mysterio kicks out. And Rey Mysterio then goes for the 619, but Serena distracts Mysterio. This allows Gallows to interfere. And then Punk goes for the GTS. Mysterio counters it. He sends Punk into Gallows, hits the 619, and he hits the springboard splash for the win. And everyone, I think, is kind of like
the flop like a fish splash.
Yeah, and I think everyone, you could just kind of tell in the crowd, everyone's like, "What?" Because the match was like 7 minutes and like 13 seconds.
So damn short. Fuck you with the ads. Yeah. Just give them the time they needed. Fuck.
I don't think anyone was expecting Punk to win either, because Rey Mysterio was not joining the Straight Edge Society.
I mean, I actually kind of wish they would have had CM Punk win. That could have been like timeless storytelling right there. If they had like Rey Mysterio as like a forced member of the Straight Edge Society, it would have been really good stuff.
Yeah, it would have been great.
Yeah, but there's one pure, simple reason they weren't going to do it, and it's because Vince, from day one, promised, and to this day has kept it, promised Ray he wasn't going to make him do the one thing Eric made him do.
Yeah.
Take the mask off.
Yeah.
And if he joins the Straight Edge Society, I mean, come on. There is only one direction you can go in. If you don't go in, it's pointless. It's stupid. And that is to take the mask off.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, this match I gave like 2 3/4 stars. It was way too short. It should have been they should have taken some of the time from the Bret Hart Vince McMahon match, and put it here, because this match deserved way more time.
Right.
Yeah, once again, 3-star match, which is kind of the theme we're going with so far. You know, a lot of 3-star matches where they're probably 2.5-star matches that are getting bumped up because WrestleMania, baby.
WrestleMania, baby. Ooh, but also, it should have had more time because it could have been great too. That's the other thing. Like,
especially too, because they have like a
slightly above average now because of it.
And they have like a barn burner too at like Over the Limit and Extreme Rules, where I feel like too this is what CM Punk. I feel like too this was the end of CM Punk run. Because the Straight Edge Society was doing really well at this time.
Yeah, and this was the end of that run. This was the definitive end. Like, after the Mysterio feud, they never recovered, and then they just disbanded the group quietly in late 2010. And then he started insulting Scott Stanford on Superstars.
Yeah. But yeah,
as he fucking deserved. I don't care what anybody wants to say about Punk. Fucking Scott Stanford deserved every bit of that for that fucking
awesome.
Cocoa Puffs line. Hey, don't do drugs, don't drink. If I'm straight edge, can I still eat Cocoa Puffs? And Punk just straight up screams with vitriol. Where do you come from?
It was awesome. But yeah, we've done career retrospectives on 3 of the people that's there. As for Serena,
you learn something new every day. I guess straight edge means you can't have Cocoa Puffs.
There you go.
Yeah.
But
Serena would get released randomly out of nowhere, like for no reason. And then
because she was bald. Let's just call it what it is, because Vince didn't like bald people. It was bald women specifically.
Which is weird because he booked her to lose her hair anyway.
Oh yeah, and let's just call it as it's been called out. Forced her to get implants when she didn't want them, which I am not fucking okay with. Never going to be
Serena would go back to the Indies. She showed up again in one of the Mae Young Classics. I think it was the second one, maybe the first one where she wrestled in it. And then she became a trainer at the Performance Center. Then she was released during the pandemic cuts that didn't need to happen. And then she went back to AEW.
Well, no, first, funny thing, she went to AEW, and she was on a Tier 0 contract, and then got a deal with the NWA, and won the NWA title, and then got signed by AEW right after winning it.
It was weird, yeah.
And had killer matches, by the way, with that belt. I mean, she was one of the best still is one of the best women's wrestlers in the world. She had a killer match with Riho, which still one of the probably the best pre-show match AEW's done to date. And then she had another great match with Mercedes Martinez long after she lost the NWA title to Camille.
Yeah.
For the Ring of Honor Women's World title, which I thought
was awesome. And she had some killer matches with Hikaru Shida.
Oh my god,
yeah. So. I'll say it now. One of the biggest missed opportunities AEW didn't go for quick enough was taking Doc Gallows away from the Elite and taking Serena away from whatever she was doing and putting them with Punk and reforming the Straight Edge Society.
That would have been.
It would have been cool, but at the same time, I think. It still could have worked regardless, because by that point you could have had Gallows and Carl just leave the group or whatever after Omega went on his hiatus, because they worked for Omega, not for Cole, right? And then you could have done it then, and then Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows could have joined up with Punk along with Serena. That could have been cool.
I think the main reason it didn't happen too is because if you remember, Impact and AEW's partnership ended around the time CM Punk kind of came in too, anyways. So
and now it's back on. And now it's back on. So much for that. I don't know why they even ended them in the first place. But
yeah, so
I always hear mixed stories about why these things go on.
I blame Sammy Guevara. There you go.
Let's go through the greatest wrestling.
Blaming Sammy Guevara is always a safe option.
Yeah, with that one, there was a legit reason, apparently.
Let's go through Here's my advice for the day, buddy. Pants. Wear them.
Why? What's wrong with it? What? Because he doesn't do leg day? Chill.
No, because he can't keep anything in them.
What do you mean? Oh, wait. Well, did his balls fall out or something?
No, I'm saying... He had a fiance. He couldn't keep it in his pants, and now he has Ty. And eventually, he won't be able to keep it in his pants again.
Okay. No, they split amicably way before he went with Ty. I hate that people spread that rumor around.
The timing is
I know the timing is bad, but that is not what happened. Let's dispel that rumor immediately. I will always dispel that rumor. I know what actually happened.
I will talk about it another day.
Right, cool. But let's get to the great. I don't understand why you guys are delaying, because we have to talk about the greatest WrestleMania match I think we've ever seen in our lifetime. It's Bret the Hitman Hart versus Vince McMahon.
I just want to say, one of the greatest build-ups.
one of the greatest build-ups.
No, the greatest WrestleMania match ever. It's so good.
No, it's not. It's fucking terrible. This is trash.
Wow.
This is absolute trash. Hang on.
But James, you said you had a skip. You said you had a skip. Why don't you
I have a
take us
skip.
through the?
So here it is, right? This Diet Pepsi bottle is going to be half empty, right? This represents the match. This, me pouring it, represents the match going downhill fucking quickly.
There you go.
Just
I'm gonna let Steve Coakley.
Just wait. Hold on. You can hear the fuzz, right?
If we can.
There you go. It's almost there. Just, pouring, and it's a train wreck. There we go.
But yeah, Steve, take us through the build-up of this match, how it came to be, and take us through the match itself.
I think Brett made his entrance first.
Or do I need to make the build? Should I take us through the build-up?
Take us through the build-up.
I'll go through the build-up. I mean, you want to talk about where it starts? We got to start in
97.
Canada, 1997 Survivor Series. The Montreal Screwjob is where it all starts. Now, of course, behind the scenes, Vince and Brett were on amicable terms, I think, by 2002. According to his book, I read it years ago now.
Even better terms by 2006, yeah.
They were on amicable terms by 2002. Obviously, he went into the Hall of Fame, and you could tell that he was still mad, but he wasn't completely engulfed in that, hatred. He didn't hate Vince at that point. I think he was just more disappointed in him, probably.
Yep.
Yeah.
And 2006 rolled around, and they're good. They're good. He was good with Shawn Michaels really quick. Especially once Shawn got his shit together. They were obviously fine. He realized Shawn was really doing what he was told, so he didn't really have that much say, no matter what Brett may think. Also, side note, I just want to point out in the book, Brett said in the book, him and Goldberg are cool, and now all of a sudden they're not cool.
Yeah.
I don't see why connect the dots there. Explain that one, Brett. But once again, we'll do that another day. So the build goes on that Brett is coming back January of 2010. Same night TNA is debuting their 3-hour show against Raw. Brett comes out to a just outstanding ovation. He's the hero who's returned after 97, 2010, you would think 13 years, but considering it was November of 97, it was 12 years.
Yeah.
Right.
12 years. He had obviously shown up at the Hall of Fame, but he didn't do Mania 22 the next night because he wasn't comfortable showing up.
Yeah.
He finally comes back on TV, and he looks obviously like he's aged 12 years, but he looked to be in decent shape. So he comes out, he immediately buries the hatchet live with Shawn Michaels, and we see that, Shawn is still being Shawn in character, and probably to a degree of realism, said, not sorry for what I did, but all the same, I don't let it consume me either, and I wish things could have been different. So they bury the hatchet. He mentioned, when he thinks of them, he actually doesn't think of the Montreal Screwjob. He thinks of WrestleMania 12, where they had their Iron Man main event. So, anyhow,
so overrated, by the way.
It is. It really is.
Well, that's a video for another
Especially
day.
after the recent Iron Man match we've dealt. Greatest of all time.
Anyhow, that's the end of Shawn Michaels and Brett's story right there, pretty much. So then we get into he's calling out Vince to bury the hatchet. Vince comes out, and they're going to bury it. Vince seems pretty on board with it. They shake hands. That's the end of it. And as Raw's going off the air, Vince kicks him in the nuts.
Of course he did. Of course he did.
Didn't really look like that. It wasn't the nut. It didn't really look like the nuts, but it was meant to be the nuts.
So then...
Yeah, it was perfect. It was a perfect move for story purposes for them to go in this direction. It was. 100% was.
Yeah.
And then the build goes that, Brett's like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to fight. And then he gets in a
car accident.
Car accident.
With Cena helped them orchestrate, by the way. Cena
No.
orchestrate.
I'm remembering it a little wrong. Brett wanted to fight, and Vince was like, no.
Yeah.
So then Brett was like, all right.
I'm going on.
In the accident, and now his legs hurt, and Vince is like, I've reconsidered. Yeah, let's sign the contract.
Yeah.
Brett signs the contract. He's like, oh, yeah, by the way, fake the accident.
Yeah, so basically what he did was he pulled a Bruce and just completely carted Vince into the match.
And he threatened to sue the company if he backed out of the match.
If he backed out of the company, bro. He's so just straight up absolute carting his way into a match with Vince. It is so well deserved.
And the story goes on that in the weeks coming up to it, Vince is having Batista make Brett's life a living hell as much as possible. And every time he's trying to make him miserable, letting him know that he deserved to be screwed.
Yeah.
And the whole thing going into it is, Vince finally kind of putting the Montreal Screwjob to us. Was like, yeah, I screwed you. I'd do it again because it was fun. So Vince just...
You deserve to be screwed!
Yeah. The best is he's saying it, over and over again. He, rips backwards. He goes, yeah, screwed.
Yeah, pretty much.
So we get to the match at Mania. I believe Brett makes his entrance first.
Yeah.
Big WrestleMania entrance, and I remember this match. Everyone was hyped. I mean, on one end, I could argue that the result was never going to match the hype, but we'll get to that. Brett makes his entrance, and then Vince makes his entrance, and he comes out, cuts a promo. He goes, tonight's not going to be like the Montreal Screwjob. Tonight's not going to be the night Vince McMahon screws Bret Hart. Tonight's the night Bret Hart's family screws Bret Hart, and the entire Hart family comes out with McMahon looking like they're going to turn on him. And once again, in kind of a carny moment, Bret's like, do you seriously think we don't text each other?
Yeah.
We texted each other. You paid them in advance because Bruce kept harping on your ass to pay them, and they cashed their checks in early. So guess what? You fucked up. We're double-crossing you. It's not now tonight is the night Vince screwed Vince. I'm like, oh my God.
Bruce gets in the ring, and I believe he had an Owen Hart shirt on.
He might have, yeah. There was actually a sign out there. I don't know if you saw the sign that said, Owen Hart for Hall of Fame 2011. But
he rips off. Yeah, I remember he rips off his jacket, and he had an Owen Hart shirt on. And I'm not getting into my thoughts on Martha. I'm not starting because I won't stop.
Yeah,
I you know what though, I can agree. I agree with that sentiment because I actually probably have a different take, and I am on her side now, knowing the story. But
let's not talk about it though, because this video.
I'm not going to start myself. Yeah. So we get into the match, and it goes downhill very quick, as James pointed out. Brett is, because I think at this moment, Brett didn't fuck up. We fucked up. The fans fucked up because we forgot that Brett is now an old man who has had a career-ending concussion and a stroke and several surgeries.
And the stroke and several surgeries absolutely killed any chance for a legitimate comeback. So
I think every fan out there just genuinely was so hyped to see him they completely forgot. Oh yeah, Brett is a mess.
Brett can't take a bump. Brett cannot take a bump.
Vince was. I think the opinion is so strong it's practically factual. Vince was in better shape than Brett was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Ben is probably in better shape now than Brett was then.
Probably better shape than Vince was then. Vince now.
Yeah.
I mean, physically, not mentally, but however. So Vince had to carry Bret Hart through a match. Yeah. Vince doesn't do that. Vince doesn't carry people through matches.
No, he can't.
No. as we've come to learn, Vince can put on a good fight.
Yeah, Hogan,
Hogan
McMahon, Austin McMahon, Shane McMahon.
He goes out there and he does fights, not matches. He goes out there and he does a demolition derby where it's just cause as much hell as possible, and hide the fact that he really can't do all these high-tech moves. He can do the basic ones fine, and he's in good shape that he's obviously conditioned enough to do long matches, fights. But yeah, he had to carry Brett, and Brett just couldn't do it. Brett was slow in every aspect. His legs, his arms.
Bro, it was like he was getting beat up, and then he barely did much of it, but then they tossed him to the outside, and then the crowd popped, and because the family was beating up Vince, right? So it was great. Then they tossed him back in, and then the beatdown went on and on and on.
And I don't know, Owen, if you have notes on specific moves that were done.
Yeah, I'll go through them.
But obviously the ending, you go through that. We'll talk about the ending of the match once you get to it.
So yeah, Bret Hart starts beating up Vince McMahon. He throws him to the outside, and I guess this was a lumberjack match.
Yep.
I guess, I don't know.
Lumberjack match, and it was a street fight, by the way. That was another thing.
It was Bruce was making sure Bret beat the shit out of Vince McMahon match.
The Hart family started beating up Vince McMahon. The Hart Dynasty hit a heart attack. They kind of screwed this up a little bit because David Hart Smith picks him up, and he has to pick him back up again because Vince falls over and stuff. And then he throws him back into the ring. Bret beats him up some more. He throws him back out. The Hart family try to attack him again, and Vince pulls out, I think it was like a tire iron or a crowbar. I forget exactly what it was. And it's really weird, too, because I think Bruce Hart, who was the guest referee, forgot this was a no-holds-barred match because he started counting as if there was countouts in this match. I think, and the commentators had to cover it up by saying, I think this is just to mock Vince McMahon, but I think he legitimately forgot that this was the no-holds-barred match.
Yeah, I think everybody forgot that, because if they did, I think the match could have been a lot better, because, Brett still couldn't do shit, but why didn't everybody in the fucking family just start rushing the ring and beating the fuck out of Vince, like Nexus style? I don't understand.
Yeah.
But Vince gets thrown back in. Brett takes the crowbar / tire iron and starts beating up Vince with it. And some of these shots just look really bad. There's not much emphasis behind them. Yeah. There's one where he hits Vince right in the throat, and somehow it doesn't cause Vince to get a total bleeding.
Yeah, Vince is selling it like death.
Yeah, and then Brett teases. This is probably what pissed the crowd off, Steve. You probably think this is gonna be the finish right here. He teases like he's gonna do the sharpshooter. And then he decides he's not doing the sharpshooter. He decides Vince hasn't suffered enough yet. And he has David Hart Smith hands him a steel chair. And Brett...
How many times did they hit him?
They said 13, but it was way more than 13.
13, one for every year he wasn't in the company or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
12 and then one for good luck.
Yeah, but it felt way more than 13. He just destroys him with this chair.
And you might think, 13 chair shots. So 1, 2, 3. No.
And by the way, this is after he teases the sharpshooter and stomps him right in the balls.
1.
Yeah. But yeah, can I talk about the chair shots, Steve?
This was a chair shot every 20 seconds. It was
20
Now,
seconds.
Here's the thing. I will be honest. In the moment, people were into it because it was you know what? Brett in story deserves to take his sweet-ass time hitting him with the chair. But once we got to chair shot 8, we were just oh my god, just put him in the freaking sharpshooter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1.
And then he finally does
20 seconds. 2, 20 seconds. 3, 20 seconds. 4, 20 seconds. You get the pattern.
And then
I'm just gonna skip.
Finishes up with the chair shots.
We get to 13, and then I think it's still not over, right? He does a couple other shit. He does a couple other things, or does he go right for the sharpshooter?
He goes right for the sharpshooter, pretty much.
And then
he lost. Yeah, this match is -5 stars. This is awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
the worst part about the match is it goes so long. It took away time from Punk and Ray. It took away time for the Unified Tag Title match, and it took away time for
And the time there was already fucking cut because of the goddamn advertisements they'd show all fucking show.
Yeah, like realistically, Triple H and Sheamus should have gone longer.
Realistically, anything should have gone longer
Than this match.
Yeah,
This should
match
have
is terrible.
This should have been. Vince got screwed, and the Hart family beats the fuck out of him, and Brett Larson, the sharpshooter, after 13 chair shots that were in quick succession, 1, 2, 3, or whatever the fuck.
Yeah,
Or
that was
win. That's what it should have been. It should have been 5 minutes maximum.
Yeah. What do you think? But what did you think? Being there live, Steve, like you talked about a little bit. But what was this match better live, or was it worse live?
Oh, it was 100% better live. I think everyone was willing to forgive the match just for the storyline's sake, but looking back at it, it's hard to.
No way.
In retrospect, I think Brett should have just really, really conditioned himself for sprint. You know, they have a saying in wrestling, you know, it's a marathon, not a sprint. You know, you're out there for a while.
Oh, bro,
Goldberg,
this was like the tortoise versus the bunny in the race, okay? This was the tortoise match here.
But, I mean, I was going to say, you know, Goldberg goes out there and does sprints. He doesn't do the marathon, and that works for him because he knows how to make it work. So,
yeah,
I think Brett should have really gone out there and just hit his moves quick and then won the match and then let the Hart family do the rest after the fact.
yeah,
or even it could even happen during the fact, because did we forget to mention it's a fucking street fight?
But at the end of the day, I think just the storyline itself really going into it does help. I'm going to give it a 0 out of 5. I'm not going to knock it into the negatives, but I'm certainly not going to give it any credit for being anything resembling a match.
Bro,
so yeah,
the reason see, you're being generous than we would have been. If I was there live in this crowd and I was in your shoes, dude, by the first tease to the sharpshooter, I'm like, and I'm gonna get some food at the concessions.
You know what? I'll be generous because it's WrestleMania, half a star. I'm giving it half of a star. And
half a star because it's WrestleMania. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Do you think significance about this match? This was obviously sort of meant to be the end of the Vince McMahon character, which was very poetic because that's the birth of the Vince McMahon character was the Montreal Screwjob, and the end of it would have been here. Unfortunately, because Vince couldn't keep his product hot enough, it wasn't the end of the Vince character. If you really think about it, it really wasn't.
Let's be real. It wasn't even. He didn't even bring himself back. It was fucking Rocky. Not Rocky. Punk who did, because Punk fucking. They had to do something, so they're like, let's do this fucking work shoot deal.
And then did you guys ever hear the backstage when they were putting this match together, how difficult the Hart family was to work with when it came to putting this match together?
Oh my god, like, they were a fucking nightmare.
A bit. I mean, I'm sorry, but the Hart family seemed like that's the biggest group of assholes in wrestling.
Yeah, like the referee, I think it was
really do.
Who was the referee? It was Bruce.
Outside of Natalia, because I've heard wonderful stories from like Make-A-Wish people and people who I know for a fact have met her, that she's great. Yeah. But yeah, I've heard Natty and Tyson are like the only people in that family people enjoy.
Yeah, but like Bruce Hart, the referee, if that's his name, wanted to like set up a storyline for like him for like SummerSlam, and basically Brett had to like Brett had to tell him to know his role pretty much because it wasn't about him and all that type of stuff. I think one of the members wanted to have Jim D'Angelo Neidhart be out there, which I guess is fair enough. But if you guys remember, Jim D'Angelo Neidhart was just on TNA recently before this. If you remember, he did not look like the best shape when he had that match in TNA.
Yeah, but he could have been involved. He still should have probably been involved. I agree with that.
And then like what? It would have been good for their feud with TNA. It would have been like, hey, you think you're shit? We just took someone right from you.
Yeah, and then one of the Hart sisters, I forget which sister, wanted to have like free catering that day. It was like them trying to piece together this match. Like Brett pretty much had to be the voice of reason and say, "This is my match, my moment," type of thing.
You know, Brett did not have a good family.
Yeah, going through. We've done career retrospectives before on Vince McMahon and Bret Hart.
Hart was probably the most tame out of all of them in reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but
for shoot, that's real.
going through the other two Hart family people that actually did have careers, or three really. We've done career retrospectives before on Tyson Kidd and Natalia. As for David Hart Smith, obviously the Hart Dynasty, won the tag titles a month after this, and then they randomly broke up as a tag team because Vince hated tag team. Well, hates tag teams. Let me be honest.
Anybody
so
ready for a bad pun?
Go for it.
What's the bad pun?
I would have loved to do that career retrospective on Tyson Kidd, but it's just such a pain in the neck.
Oh, no. Oh,
Poor
no.
Tyson. But anyhow, David Hart Smith, he would basically be a jobber throughout the rest of his career. And then he left, and then obviously he joined the Killer Elite Squad with Lance Archer. And he did some other things in New Japan and things like that. He had like a really weird comeback where he came back for like right after the pandemic, and then they didn't really do much with him. He was just released randomly because of all the COVID cuts they were still doing. And then he went back to New Japan, GCW. I think he had like a really good Bloodsport match with John Moxley on Bloodsport. It was like one of my favorite things. And then he went to the NWA, and he had a tag title run with Douglas Williams, which was a really random tag title run. But it's the NWA. It's really random stuff that happens. And I think he got injured. I don't think he was injured because I say that because I think he left the company. Because I'm pretty sure right after they
because the NWA is trash. Anyway.
But I'm pretty sure right after they vacated the belts, he wrestled Killer Cross in that Ric Flair's last match event. So that's why I don't think he was really injured.
Oh my god!
I might have my time.
Who's the Hart member that can't keep himself out of trouble?
That would be Teddy Hart.
That's Teddy Hart. I don't think he showed up here.
No, probably not.
No, they were going to bring him back there no matter what, especially nowadays. He is full-on canceled.
Is he like blackballed everywhere pretty much?
Yep, after his recent domestic abuse, he's gone.
Oh,
so question for you, Steve. You know a lot about the Hart family. Is there anyone else that was at Mania 26 we have to do a career break stuff in the Hart family that we know? Or is everybody has other Hart family just kind of doing their own thing? Because we've done Tyson Kidd and Natalia, so
yeah, Tyson, Natalia, and
honestly, we just kind of broke down their career retrospectives. They were great wrestling trainers, but they were asshole human beings, with the exception of Natalia and Brett and somewhat Brett and fucking Stu. Let's just move on.
Like I said, I'm not starting today. James and I have agreed this is not the day for us to do it.
Especially because
I would love to do a career retrospective on Martha Hart's involvement in the business. That would be the equivalent of opening up the gates of hell on this channel. Just warning you guys.
Let's continue.
I don't agree.
I'm just saying, I don't hate her. I don't have the strong dislike that other people do, but I don't necessarily enjoy her either. It's
but the thing is, though, like...
Know this. I feel horrible for everything that happened to Owen.
Everybody did, but that's the thing. It was an accident that didn't need to happen, and she's well within her right to say, you know what? You're not getting the rights to fucking air any of my fucking husband's footage and putting it in the Hall of Fame. I'm good. I think that will change now that Hunter is in charge of the company. I think Owen will be, give or take maybe 2 to 3 years, will be involved in both AEW and WWE in some capacity in his likeness and whatever. But
just to summarize,
if Vince was running that company to this day, fuck no chance.
I agree with that. My only thing is her to say, you know what, I don't want to be involved in this anymore. I want my own stuff, and then to immediately... her to say, I don't want to be a hateful, spiteful person, and then to immediately show up in AEW, like, I cannot see that tournament as anything less than her trying to spite Vince.
I don't see it that way, and I'll tell you why. Because she's made it very clear, without being hateful, I cannot support a company that was negligent in his death. I will never do that. It's not a hate thing. She even said it wasn't a hate thing. It's a moral thing. I cannot allow my husband being, glorified in the company that let him die when it did not need to happen. And by the way, from all legal accounts, didn't need to happen. She's 100,000% correct. So she went with AEW because she wanted a wrestling company that would honor him. And I think it
I don't
may.
think they
I
have
will
though.
say. I
That's
will
another
say
issue.
Tony. I would say Tony probably may have done it out of spite, especially in hindsight.
That's probably where a lot of it comes from. Is
But
I don't dislike Martha Hot. I don't. Tony Khan. That would be a fun retrospective.
Tony,
Yeah.
Tony, Tony is. He has his moments, but I think.
They
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 there's a
actually
couple.
just made a movie about him too. It's
Yeah.
Cocaine Bear.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Nice. But no.
I had to. I'm sorry.
I don't know, man. I'm okay as long as Owen Hart. This is my whole thing. I don't
Yeah.
care what company does it. If Owen Hart does it, cool. Or I'm sorry, if Owen Hart is honored and remembered in some wrestling company, and Martha is okay with it, I'm good with it. I don't give a fuck. It could have been an Impact for all I give a shit. Like
So-
as long as he
yeah.
was honored.
The other thing that really counts to me at least too is yes, Martha lost her husband, but let's not forget Brett lost his brother. And
Right.
Brett has said numerous times he belongs in that Hall of Fame, and WWE should honor him. I think now more than ever with Triple H, someone who
Yeah.
wrestled
Once the company is sold officially and Triple H is like head of creative and Vince no longer runs the company, that's when you'll see him in the Hall of Fame. Martha will finally
sure.
give her blessing there.
fingers crossed on that.
Yeah, hopefully.
Because Triple H and Owen were pretty close when Triple H was active and everything like that.
Yeah, I think there's like a whole story that Owen was supposed to be the game, but he obviously didn't live to see it, so
Yeah.
Triple H got it instead. But you know what? We can do a whole nother video on the subject matter of Owen Hart. I'm
Yeah.
sure it'd be a good video to get everybody on for, but we'll move on to the next match unless there's anything that
So
aired
there was a WrestleMania 27 ad where they advertised where WrestleMania 27 was going to be. Then the next match was the Logan.
27. I remember that one.
We'll talk about that. That'll be a retro someday. Then we have the,
27 or 28 retros.
we did 28. We technically did 227, but it's worth doing it again because that was before we revamped the series.
For the
So
record, just for the record, I have the 28 for the guide too. So
all right.
I have
Next
it
is the World Heavyweight Championship match. It's Chris Jericho defending against Edge. This match was planned for 9 months. Originally, it was supposed to come when Jericho and Edge had won the WWE Unified Tag Team Championships at the Bash, and it was supposed to be obviously the thing where they would slowly break up as a tag team and stuff. But obviously, Edge suffered his Achilles tendon injury like I think 3 weeks after they won the belts,
Yeah.
and they obviously weren't even sure if this match was going to happen at WrestleMania. So Chris Jericho would continuously point jabs at Edge, talking about how Chris Jericho always stayed healthy in his wrestling career. He never had any injuries. He never had to make a grand return from an injury or anything like that, so he doesn't know what it feels like.
just from hanging out with Fozzy.
Yeah. And then he talked about how the tag team with him and Jericho became a thing because,
Sorry, I had to take a call, but before we move on, there's a comment about what we were just talking about with the Martha Hart stuff. Gats Ghost said in the chat, "I don't see the problem with with her not wanting to work with Vince, but TK knew what he was doing by bringing Martha on. I mean, yeah." That's where I think the issue is. I don't think it was Martha as much as it was Tony. Although
It probably is.
is it Tony or is it Phil? Also, that's another thing that I think a lot of people don't realize. Like, because that's the thing. Punk it gets along with Brett very well, right?
Yeah.
And he's also like was a big fan of Owen Hart. So was it a Punk call and Tony getting the blessing from probably Brett, Martha, and Punk kind of encouraging it? Was it really more of him doing it out of spite, or was it because Punk was encouraging him to just honor him? I don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't know. We're never going to know the answer to that,
No.
Yeah.
No, we're not.
But anyhow, going back to the...
probably really affects my opinion is when Mark Henry started crying at his Hall of Fame speech.
Yeah, that's fair.
That hurt me a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, but we're going to talk about that a different day. I think that's kind of been established. We'll get back to Jericho.
So yeah, Jericho and Edge. Jericho was throwing jabs at Edge that his body couldn't stay healthy, and it ended up being to Jericho's benefit. And then the Royal Rumble 2010 came around, and Edge was the surprise entrant. I think he wasn't 30, but he was like the 29th entrant. So he was like the second to last entrant, which is kind of cool because at the start of the last 2 decades, Edge has been the surprise entrant. He was the surprise entrant in the 2010 and the 2020 Royal Rumble, which is cool. And he ended up winning the Royal Rumble. He actually threw out Chris Jericho in the match, not to win it, but obviously it was a story beat. And Edge was trying to decide which world championship he was going to go after. And Chris Jericho won the World Heavyweight Championship in the Elimination Chamber match, which we'll go back and talk about that again later because there's a reason he wins the title. And Edge chose to face Chris Jericho for the World Heavyweight Championship. And I didn't necessarily hate this babyface run at Edge, but it's definitely Edge's weakest run. I remember the biggest, goofiest thing that he did was, even though the move was over, he would consistently chant spear, and he was just very cartoony. Again, I think it's because this was when WWE was very much in the PG era. It made Edge very goofy at this time.
I'll let you finish. I have a follow-up.
But anyhow, continuing this feud, Chris Jericho and Edge continuously went back and forth with each other. Chris Jericho talked about how Edge's Achilles tendons is not going to be able to hold up, and Edge's body itself isn't going to be able to hold up, so it's going to lead to his downfall. Edge would hit the spear on Chris Jericho week after week after week. Spear. Yeah. And then eventually Jericho got the advantage when he hit Edge off the head with the title and stomped on his Achilles tendon. And yeah, it just led to this match. Before I talk about the match, you have a story, Steve.
For WrestleMania, whatever channel that does the news out in Arizona is doing interviews for WrestleMania outside. I get interviewed, and me and my just like sugar high mind person comes up. She's like, "Oh, who do you think's gonna win the World Heavyweight Championship tonight?" And I remember going, "He's gonna win. He's gonna spear that motherfucker with a spear. Let's fucking go."
So that explains why you're
full on swore on.
and it gets on TV and they have to censor the whole thing, and I'm like, oh my god.
That's hilarious. That's so base.
Afterwards, I was like, that ain't getting on there. And then the next best part is they go to my dad and my grandfather, and they're like, so if it came down to Super Bowl tickets or WrestleMania tickets, what would you take? And my dad's like, I'd take Mania tickets any day. And my grandfather goes, I'd probably take Super Bowl tickets. They show that on the Titantron before this match. That interview. And then the camera comes up to me in our section. I've watched it back. We didn't get on, so this must have been during their downtime for setting up the ring and whatnot. And my grandfather's on the screen, just goes, "Hey, you see him mouth?" Oh, shit. And he's getting booed. He's getting booed by everybody.
Dude,
That's awesome.
He became, in one sentence, he became the biggest heel in the arena.
Don't ask for Super Bowl tickets instead of Mania tickets, guys. It's a mistake.
I never would anyways. I wouldn't even ask for like a regular...
Well,
I wouldn't even ask for like I would rather go to freaking NXT.
I'm gonna be honest. The Super Bowl is very hit and miss. The only tickets I would have gone to in hindsight is definitely the Patriots versus the Atlanta Falcons game, because that game.
I was gonna say, you know me, and the Patriots ain't making the Super Bowl anytime soon at this point. So I'm taking the Mania ticket.
That's why I'm wearing the Buccaneers hat now.
But anyhow, so let's go through the match. One thing that was funny is Edge's entrance goes off and completely cuts off Jericho's entrance. Like he's not even like at the ring yet, and Edge's entrance completely.
You could tell they were crazy. They were trying to cram in the time during
Yeah.
that shit.
Vince probably goes back there and he probably felt like for once in his life he's probably like, I can't believe I'm the one that went over. I can't believe I'm the friggin' moron that went over.
Yeah, probably.
But anyhow, so we have the match. Edge and Chris Jericho start locking up with each other. And Edge hits a flapjack onto Jericho, and he goes for the spear, but Jericho rolls to the outside. He bounces Jericho's head off the Spanish announcer's table. Jericho gets the advantage on Edge. He hits a drop kick, which sends Edge to the outside, and he tries to win by count out, but Edge gets back into the ring in time. And Jericho dominates Edge for a bit. He works over the ribs of Edge, which really didn't make any sense because he should have worked over the Achilles tendon. It was kind of weird that they didn't introduce that, but whatever. Eventually, Edge starts mounting a comeback. He hits some really cool clotheslines onto him. And eventually, Jericho goes for a superplex. And Edge counters it into a reverse face-first superplex onto Jericho. This is where I think Matt Striker started to get more facts on, because he mentioned that like Jericho and Edge were like traveling together like before WWE, and that timeline does not add up because Jericho, I'm pretty sure Jericho was like in Japan anyways before then, and by the time Edge came up into the business, Jericho was in WCW. So that fact was completely wrong by Stryker right there. They never, I don't think they interacted with each other at all.
By the way, Gatsko said Grandpa got insta heat.
Oh yeah, he did.
But yeah, that made no sense. Like Stryker was really trying, you could tell, but he was getting so many facts wrong. It was almost like he was mixing up his facts all the time during the show. I will say though, he had a hell of a line here. There's no greater enemy than that of a wrong best friend, which I love that quote. I actually used that quote as part of my build-up for Johnny Starr versus James Archangel at WYW Immortal in the submission match.
But wait a minute. That doesn't even make sense either. They weren't really like best friends before. Like they were tag teams.
Oh no, I know, but the quote ruled.
The quote can rule, but if you use the quote wrong, then it doesn't rule.
I used the quote right years later, so.
Yeah, but he used it.
Personal opinion: Christian should have been used more in this storyline.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because he had a tag team, and obviously Edge has the obvious history with, but people forget that he has that history with Jericho too.
Yes, he does. But yeah, continuing the match. Jericho hits a code breaker on Edge, but he kicks out. He gets him into the walls of Jericho, and he really stretches back the walls of Jericho here. Like, obviously, you can just feel the intensity with the Achilles tendon and everything like that. And Edge is able to counter it. And then Jericho finally starts working over the Achilles tendon, which I liked, but it's like, why wasn't he working on this Achilles tendon like earlier? Would have made way more sense. I didn't get. He did it like right when the match was almost over, pretty much. But then eventually, Edge hits the jumping DDT. Jericho kicks out. Jericho grabs the World Heavyweight Championship, and behind the referee's back, he hits Edge off the skull with it. Edge kicks out, and then Jericho hits the code breaker and gets the victory. Then afterwards, he goes to attack Edge some more, but Edge reverses it. He spears Jericho from the announcer's table through the timekeeper's barricade, and that was basically the end of that. I thought the match was very good. I gave it like 3 3/4. It was a 4-star match, but again, I thought it was the wrong result for a number of reasons. This was Edge's big comeback match after being injured, and he should have won the World Heavyweight Championship here. It was also kind of burying the Royal Rumble a little bit because it was like the 3rd year in a row where the Royal Rumble winner didn't get the belt. Like, it was kind of getting to the point where like it's starting to bury.
Yeah, pretty much. This was a match where there was no reason for Jericho to win outside of, obviously, they had Swagger's cash in planned at this point. That's the only logic I can find in it.
But even then, like, why he could have just cashed it on Edge.
This is a 4-star match for me. I'd give it 4.5 stars. It was a damn good match with a great and if Edge had won, I'd be like 4.5 stars. This match was amazing, but it just fell short because of that ending. And then after the fact, Edge spears him through the table anyway.
Yeah.
It really comes down to the booking decision. do that spot
5 minutes earlier.
Yep.
Do that spot 5 minutes earlier. I may have even considered a 5-star. I may have. I don't know.
I
Yeah.
agree. We have a
It was
comment.
just
We have a comment here that said, I believe his name is Akash the Rapper. I think is how you pronounce it. Taker versus Michaels should have been main event of WrestleMania 26. I agree, but it was.
You mean 20? You mean 20?
I think he meant 25. I think
Yeah, because it did main
okay,
event
okay,
26.
yes.
I always say that
Maybe?
the winner of the Royal Rumble should always main event. Which, by the way, the winner of the Royal Rumble didn't main event, but at least should have been semi-main. I understand why they couldn't this time.
Yeah, I mean, I will actually add to that because obviously there's this current rumor of Rhea versus Charlotte main eventing night one. As much as I know everyone wants the Usos, Sami Zayn, and Owens to main event night one,
it deserves it more.
I'm okay with the idea of Triple H kind of going in the direction of, all right, we have 2 Royal Rumbles, we have 2 nights of Mania, so, one person main events one night and the other person main events the other night. Like, yeah, I guess I'm okay with that consistency, but
I personally disagree. I feel like, because James, you say the Royal Rumble win. We're going to talk about that. I think whatever the match has the best, the most hype about it for the most part in main event, because Mania 18 and Mania 25, the Royal Rumble winner main events, and it dies a death. So
yeah, 18, yes, 18 Rock Hogan should have 100% been the main event. I'm thinking about that Taker Michaels at main eventing 25. I don't know that it had the hype going in. Certainly had it coming out, but I feel like the match was like going in. It's like, okay, this is going to be a good wrestling match. This is going to be a solid 4-star match, but where it winds up being a 5-star minimum.
Yeah.
I mean, the match was insane, as was the follow-up, which we'll get to. I think for the sake of it being that dark horse out of nowhere, I would keep it in its spot at 25. Because on the other end of it, for build-up purposes, Triple H and Orton looked like it was going to be a good match.
Yeah, and then you realize, this should have been no holds barred.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was.
It wasn't.
I was damn sure it was going to be a no holds barred match. I think everyone was, and
yeah.
So it's like
the McMahon family should have overruled the ruling and had fucking Orton go into a no holds barred match. That was the problem. That was the big issue there.
But yeah, I don't necessarily think the Royal Rumble winner should main event every year. But at least they definitely shouldn't open every year. That's a mistake.
Yeah.
But anyhow, continuing, we've done career records. Well, James, what did you think of this World Heavyweight title match? You didn't really get to.
It was good, but then it ended way abrupt again. Like the booking of the show is hindered by. It hinders the matches that could be great. Like, this should have been an awesome match on paper, and it just wasn't because of the booking.
Yeah, I mean, I'll also say, just as another side note, last one for right now, as we always sidetrack. If Zayn and Owens versus the Usos can't main event, I am okay with it opening.
Yeah.
I'm okay with people getting right to it.
I don't know. I feel like we may have a Rock and Hogan problem though, where that's gonna like derail the crowd if it opens. Like I feel like it needs to.
I'm personally in the mindset of if I'm running a wrestling company and I'm putting a match I know is gonna burn the house down on first, I'm looking at the rest of them like, well, figure it out. How are you gonna top it? Because it's not my problem; it's your problem.
Exactly.
And I'm not saying that to be a jerk. I'm saying that to like motivate people. Like,
Yeah,
like,
as it should.
I'm going to use Omos and Lesnar as an example for the hell of it. You know what? There's no reason they can't go out there and have a good match. MVP's putting in the work, and I'm actually intrigued by the build now.
Yeah.
I didn't think I would be, but MVP has made it work. Lesnar's made it work, and Omos, to the very little he's done, because with him I think little is more, has made it work. I don't think there's any reason they can't go out there and have a sprint, have a 3-minute demolition derby that blows everyone away. I
just think the tag title match should main event night one of WrestleMania, just because too, like this storyline between Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and the Usos has been building for like over a year, and it's main evented like half of the shows on like it's the main event angle. It's the thing that's drawing people in. So, but again, that could be a debate for another day.
Yeah. We have a couple comments before we get to the next matchup here. Gats Ghost, they've both been in the chat for a while here. I think at this point the streak in WWE wasn't going to put Taker's match as the main event. I think he's referring to 25. They did here because the importance was off the charts. And then he's Akish the Rapper commented one more time saying, asking us. Well, now he's asking another question. Jeez, I'm barely able to keep up with this. Stone Cold versus LA Knight, years after WrestleMania. Here, I'm just gonna extend that. Hold off that question until WWE Aftershock next week. On what day would that be? Owen, to do that.
Monday.
Monday in the afternoon. Probably.
Yes.
Yeah. So stay tuned for Aftershock in the afternoon, probably like 12 or 1 p.m. Because we cover all modern WWE stuff during that show, and I don't want to like money.
We will answer. I will answer his question about the Intercontinental title triple threat because he said that could open WrestleMania. I'm totally fine with that.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, there's 2 nights. I think they're your 2 openers right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't. But we could talk about back to WrestleMania 26. Let's go back. We have next the. I can see why everyone's delaying because next is this Divas tag match. It's Alicia Fox.
All right. I'm gonna pull. Listen, there's a rule, and I am enacting it that if you want to do a fuck this match card, you enact it here. And I've covered way too many Divas matches to give too much of a fuck to review this in depth. So I'm pulling the fuck this card. Vicky Guerrero won with the frog splash. Let's just get to the career retrospectives because there really was not much in this match.
It wasn't called a frog splash, and you know it.
I'm sorry, the hog splash.
Thank you.
The only thing I'll say about it is it just didn't make sense for the heels to win because of all the times where they could have embarrassed Vicky Guerrero. The time that people wanted to see it, they didn't do it. It was just really weird.
Yeah.
Going into this match, it was just because I'm looking right now. I was like, yeah. Everyone wanted to see Lay Cool lose.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everyone wanted to see Vicky lose. There is no storyline purpose. I mean, there never was to push them as hard as they did. I mean, Michelle McCool is a great athlete. I'm not going to deny that. Layla is okay. But you know what? It just made no sense to have them win and
zero sense.
And to not shock anyone, this was a piss break match. You could see.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably on the Peacock version too, because on the DVD version you can see people walking up.
Yeah,
they knew it was this and Taker Michaels next. They knew it was the last match, and they knew they were ready. They wanted to be ready for it. They knew it was going to be a long match, so everybody went to the bathroom. I did.
Yep. I don't blame you.
I did during the interviews. I came back, saw the hog splash. That was it. How long was this match?
Too long.
3 minutes, 20 seconds. I forgot. There were 2 matches left, and people wanted to be ready for it.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, they had the women's and Divas champion. It will be the one and only time that have both of those belts in the same match. Maurice was the Divas, and Michelle was the women's.
That's actually not true because they were both in the Miss WrestleMania Battle Royal, so that's actually not true.
Oh, I'm sorry. The last time is what I actually meant to say. The last time. That's my bad. That was the last.
Well, technically, the last time would have been the unification match, if that's what you're referring to.
Well,
I'm talking
and
about
that match was won by the Diva on High.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But all time saying Tina Morella won that match.
Yeah. But going through the career retrospectives, we've done pretty much everybody in this match. The only other thing I'll say is Mickie James, believe it or not, was actually, I think, had like a staph infection coming into this match. I believe that it was said she got bit by a bug, which turned into like a staph infection somehow.
Yeah, it was like some fucking crazy ass like rare mosquito she got bit by, and it caused a staph infection. Yeah, that's what you get in Arizona.
The craziest thing about it too is it was so bad. Like they almost had to like amputate her leg. That's how bad it was. Like,
Yes, this is true.
Which is you could tell was the case because Mickey James is the only one that's wearing jeans like in the match.
Yeah, she's the only one, and she the fact that she even competed at this Mania, even if it was just barely at doing anything, like she's a trooper for that. By the way, just for WWE to compensate her for that little scare, they released her. And she went to TNA and become a multi-time Knockouts champion, including now for the Impact show that she's going to be at for this Mania week, but unfortunately she had to pull out because of an injury. I don't know what the extent of that injury was, unfortunately.
Oh, the mosquito came back.
Oh no! Oh no! It's coming after Mickey James. It's trying to kill her.
It was me all along.
But anyhow, the only person we haven't done a career retrospective on is Maurice. Maurice would go on to lose the Divas title later in the year to Mickey James.
She became
not Mickey James.
She became the boyfriend of Ted DiBiase Jr. And then she said, "You suck. Even though you have a lot of money, but you suck. I'm gone." and then she was quietly retired, and then she came back on screen as the Mrs. Husband because she was for sure.
James, I think you're getting your words mixed up. So she was Ted's boyfriend and the Mrs. Husband.
Sorry. Yes, that. There you go.
I was like, wait a minute. I think you got some words mixed up.
Ted got a fuck pulled on him. That's all we need to fucking say. There you go.
Yes.
And then, basically Maurice is just doing that stuff. She comes back as a part-time appearance, pretty much.
Yeah.
All right, so the next match is
They treat her like she can't wrestle despite the fact that she blatantly can.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Which sucks because I wish we could have gotten more Maurice matches because she was actually very underrated in the ring, and it makes me mad that they never gave a fuck until she was done. Anyway.
Yeah. Next match was for the WWE Championship. It was Batista defending against John Cena. What a classic feud this was. So John Cena and Batista, as everybody knows, were the two big stars of the Ruthless Aggression era. Their rise is very identical. They were both the OVW class of 2002, and they both came up on SmackDown in fairly similar ways, where they started out really well, and then they dropped the ball a little bit, and eventually they had to revamp themselves with John Cena becoming the Doctor of Thuganomics and Batista joining Evolution. They were both on separate brands, and they both had a mediocre rise to the top where they won a couple of mid-card titles and everything like that. They were both the final two in the 2005 Royal Rumble match where Batista would go on to win. And they were both
the World Heavyweight title, while Cena won the WWE title from JBL. We actually reviewed that Retro Mania 21, which I put in the live chat. So there you go.
There you go. And then they were both the top draws on the separate brands. Obviously, they were trade brands where John Cena would go to Raw and Batista would go to SmackDown. And they never really had like a full-on feud really with each other. The most that they had was when they had that tag match where it was Cena and Michaels versus Batista and Taker. But then eventually when Batista got drafted over to Raw in 2008, they finally had their dream match with each other where it was SummerSlam 2008 where Batista ended up breaking Cena's neck and beating
on a Batista bomb counter out of the Cena leg drop.
Yeah. So then but then when John Cena returned, Batista was hurt, so they never really revisited that storyline. And then I think by the time Batista came back, he got traded to SmackDown, and you were waiting for it. And then Batista finally turned heel and had the best run, honestly, of his entire WWE career, and professional wrestling career in general. Where he was just doing some really good stuff as a heel.
Ray was supposed to be his friend, and he beat him up for costing him the title, quote unquote. And then he went into a feud with Ray, and then it went right into a feud with Cena, which I think was a perfect transition. The two biggest baby faces in the company at that point.
Batista.
Yeah.
What
Batista.
A fucking icon.
Yeah.
I mean, he to me, was kind of the PG version of Hollywood Rock.
Yeah.
How long was Rock the Hollywood character?
I think
3 to 4 months?
yeah.
And yeah, he gave us the hints at SummerSlam after it goes off the show, if you have seen the video. Batista, his heel run, how long was it?
October to May.
Oh, didn't he turn in like he turned in early December, right?
No,
He
he
turned
turned
in
at bragging
October
rights.
because-
Bragging rights.
And that was like early December, and then he leaves in early May. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So 5 months. So about the
Yeah.
same.
5-month run, and it was the best run of his career.
In
Yeah.
that time, it was this, and that's saying something considering his initial face run as a champion was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Like him and Cena's runs right out of WrestleMania 21 were unparalleled. Like
No.
I'll say it now.
I say Batista's run was
SBR
better than
2006.
Cena's, but yeah, in hindsight.
SBR 2006, great cover. Cena and Batista. It's like here it is. And everyone's like, damn straight, here it is. Here's my money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyhow,
And yeah, just heel Batista. I just really want to go off on this for a quick sec. I'm sorry.
yeah, it's fine.
Heel Batista just coming in was great. I love like the turn where just like, oh, you think I'm playing, Ray? I'm not playing. I'm gonna rip your freaking head off.
Oh, that's awesome.
And the
I
best
can't
is,
wait.
The best is just the you're supposed to be my friend.
My favorite bit of heel Batista is when Cena and him have that promo in the build-up, and Cena's like, "You want to know what I think?" And then Batista just cuts him off. He's like, "No, I don't want to know what you think. I don't care what you think."
Yeah.
Just immediately shuts him down.
I still love that.
Remember one week a kid like Batista, I hate you. He just turns around. I hate you too.
Yeah, he said it with such vitriol. I hate you too.
But yeah,
I remember.
like, what are you saying? On?
I remember doing that Rey Mysterio turn too. I love Ray there too when he's just like, "Dave, please take it easy, man. Take it easy."
Oh,
Just throws
my
him into the
God.
barricade.
Take it easy, man. Please. Wow.
Like, and you laugh at it for a bit, and then you like get that sense of like, oh shit! Like I know everyone always has mixed opinions on when they bring Eddie's name up, but Ray like convincing him to come back.
That was enough time that had passed. That had passed where it needed to be.
Sure.
You could have brought it up, and it would have gotten some good heat. Yeah. The problem with Orton doing it is it was literally like not even 3 months after it happened.
And don't get me wrong, I am 150% sure they got that one by Vicky.
Yeah.
They probably were made, and because Orton's even gone on note and said like he didn't want to do it, but he knew he had to because he knew it was gonna work.
Yeah.
And Ray's always had that mindset of Eddie would probably go crazy for something like this because it'd be such a good way to get heat.
Yeah, Eddie was always the consummate professional in that regard. Yeah.
But yeah, that just oh shit moment of Ray trying to convince Batista back to the light side and Batista just Eddie dead.
Yeah. But
Like
anyhow,
that moment of like you kind of see that he doesn't have that mentor figure anymore, and now he's just completely off the rails without him.
yeah.
Yeah.
But anyhow, continuing with the Batista John Cena feud. So Batista started to do
well,
Vince McMahon.
before you do, there's 2 comments, and I have to read them because we mentioned it earlier. Gats Ghost says, "You were supposed to be my friend!" And then he also says legendary, so he's in agreement with us that this was a legendary run of Batista.
Yes,
But yeah,
and it was also Batista's. Sorry, not Batista. It was also John Cena's legendary orange shirt run. I just remember when he had that orange shirt run. This was around the time the Super Cena jokes started to become more like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Legendary? Are you sure about that?
I say legendary in terms of he didn't lose. He didn't lose.
He
when that
lost
shit
to
went on.
Sheamus in the fluke.
That wasn't. I don't think he didn't.
He lost the
I don't think he had
Rumble.
Does that count?
He does.
Was the Rumble-
He lost.
He was.
And then he
only
won
lost
again
to-
after 2 months later. When he debuted the orange shirt, it was a curse. He lost to Sheamus. He lost the Rumble, and he lost a lot of his matches up until he won a number 1 contenders match to be against Sheamus at No Way Out or Elimination Chamber, whatever they called it then.
I might be remembering.
Won the belt and then lost the belt right to Batista because Vince said, nah.
What about that group of kids he beat with the orange shirt? I probably shouldn't talk about that one.
Oh,
So move on.
Jesus Christ.
But anyhow, yeah, John Batista had started doing Vince McMahon's.
Oh no, 7. Sorry, I got a little choked up about one of them.
Ooh. But anyhow, Batista had started doing.
Let him go.
Batista,
Fuck.
So stupid. Jokes just
I get it, but let Owen fucking go to the next match. You do it every time. You've done it on this podcast. Let him do it. Just let him go to the next
Batista had started doing Vince McMahon's bidding, which allowed Cena to make the save. And this was like that classic where Batista attacked Cena like the Raw after that happened. And then this obviously led to Batista winning the title. Very like Edge-like when he cashed in Money in the Bank, where Cena won the Chamber match and Batista won the title. And Batista wanted to face Cena, and the reason that Batista had this disdain for John Cena was because even though they both came up and had the similar rise and they've been the face of the company, John Cena was seen as the poster boy in the WWE. He was on magazines, he was in movies, he was doing all these things. And Batista didn't get any of that. And John Cena came back by talking about how John Cena legitimately loves this company, and he's usually the first one to leave. No, he's usually the first one to show up and the last one to leave. And he talked about Batista just does this for money. And Batista then brought up this was actually the only time where they threw obstacles at Cena where they were legit, where any time that him and Cena win the same win together, bad things would happen to John Cena, and that started to happen for weeks. This is like some of Batista's classic lines. One of the classic lines was on the Go Home episode of Raw. He brought up how a lot of people pay a lot of money to see them, and he said, some of you, a lot of dollar signs, because you have a lot of fat people in the seats, you have to get 2 tickets, and you're giving me money. Like, it's just such great lines by Batista.
So good. He's so good. He says, I'm not having to come in this business to kiss babies and hug fat girls. Holy shit.
I remember one...
Perfect as a heel. I mean...
One of my other favorite lines is...
by the way, your cat wants pets. She's like, going up, and she's like,
oh, I know.
Oh, okay. I couldn't see it because my blue snowball's on the way. But anyhow, one of my other favorite lines is when John Cena starts talking, he'd be like, "Buck, buck, buck, John, that's what you do. That's not what I do. I come in here and I win championships."
Oh my God, it was so legendary. Bark, bark, bark. That's what you do. That's not what I do. Like, holy shit, his delivery was so good here.
Like Batista was ace as a heel, like awesome. I don't know why they brought this guy back as a babyface.
Didn't make any sense.
You know who else said it didn't make any sense when he came back?
Batista.
Yeah, I know.
Batista knew Daniel Bryan was a good choice.
Yeah, and everyone I hate watching myself on videos at the time because everyone hated Batista but really it wasn't Batista's fault. Anyhow, going through the match. This was when Batista was in a spotlight phase where he demanded a spotlight every match. So I
adored that entrance.
Such a great entrance. I just wish he kept the little. Did he have the explosion pyro too with it?
They do like an explosion, but he didn't have the explosion.
Man, I wish he did at least keep that. I think he did it. He did it in his last match, right, with Triple H.
He would slap his knees to go down. The pyro would just do the one pop, and then boom.
Yeah, so he teased it. John Cena has a special entrance where it's like the U.S. military armed forces or whatever are doing this like skit where I don't want to say they dance around, but they do like tricks with their shotguns and all that type of stuff. I thought at first they were gonna do a thing where there was just blanks in it and they would fire off the guns, but that never happened. But yeah. I just imagine how the nerves, because they probably rehearsed the crap out of this, but Real Time Mania, just imagine if someone like dropped one of the guns by accident, because they were probably thinking that too.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, this match is great. It's the match.
If the match was no holds barred, Cena should have just taken one of the guns. Boom, game over. I win.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just like Snoop Dogg did to win his WGGP Universal title.
Jeez.
But yeah, the match starts off. Cena and Batista chain grapple each other. Cena starts off the match very aggressive. He tries to go for the AA, but Batista counters it. And eventually, when Cena goes for the AA, Batista counters it into a really good DDT. He starts working over the neck of John Cena.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of find it interesting that they got the storyline better here than in the Edge Jericho match, because even though Cena's neck injury was like years ago, he went right for the neck right away instead of Jericho, where he waited to go for the Achilles tendon. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, 2 years ago, I think.
Batista dominates Cena, really works over his neck for a while. Eventually, Cena mounts a comeback. Cena's very much getting booed in this match. He hits the 5 moves of doom. He goes for the 5-knuckle shuffle, and I love the camera cut here because the camera cuts away to him bouncing off the road. And when he bounces back, Batista's immediately up and he hits a spine buster on Cena. It was a really good cut right there. He goes for the Batista bomb. Cena counters into the STF, but Batista gets to the ropes. Batista hits a spear. Cena kicks out. Batista hits a really cool neck breaker earlier in the match. That was cool. And then Cena hits the 5-knuckle shuffle from the second turnbuckle, and then he goes for the AA, and they do this really cool transition. It looked a little sloppy, but they eventually got there where Cena has him in a Batista in a power slam position, and he turns it into an AA. It was really cool. Batista kicks out of it though. He goes for the leg drop, and they do kind of like a version of the SummerSlam 08 match where Batista catches him into a power bomb.
And that was popped his neck.
Yeah. Except it was Except it was a spine buster, because obviously they didn't want to have Cena. I don't think Cena have his neck broken again, so they did it safer this time. And then Batista went for the Batista bomb, but Cena counted it into the STF, and Batista ended up tapping out, and Cena ended up winning the WWE Championship. Great match here. I give it 4 stars. It was a great storytelling, and I just thought a great match overall. Yeah, obviously John Cena winning made sense, considering the fact that this was Batista's last WrestleMania as a full-timer, so obviously he was going to put Cena over as much as he could, since it was to kind of set that staple that Cena was one of the top guys. So I thought it was a cool thing by Batista to do this. I give it 4 stars. What do you think of this match, Steve?
I'm going to give this match 4.5 stars out of 5. We always talk about like different eras in wrestling. Cat's back.
Yep.
We always talk about different eras in wrestling. We have the Attitude Era. We have the Ruthless Aggression Era. So to me, I think I used to go like Mania to Mania, but it does. Every time has specific dates.
Yeah.
To me, like Ruthless Aggression really starts when WWF becomes WWE.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it abruptly ends, sadly, when the Chris Benoit tragedy happens. Because I know they didn't go PG for a little bit after that, but they immediately
started toning down.
You don't need to be rated PG to be PG. They were obviously already going in that direction. They just needed to show it to get it first.
Yeah.
So to me, Ruthless Aggression ended in 2007. This was kind of like the final encore of the Ruthless Aggression era to me. This was, they're the 2 biggest stars to come out of it, going head to head. Obviously, the last time they did it, or not actually the last time they did it at Over the Limit, I forget, and Extreme Rules, but
yeah.
Last time they're gonna do it at Mania. The only time they did it at Mania. So this was the biggest of the 3 matches. The one that really mattered at the end of the day, because Cena wins the first one. We know who's winning the second and the third one.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But, yeah, this was the true final encore of Ruthless Aggression. Like I said, the match was good. Batista talking as a heel for the build-up. I already discussed how that worked really well. And him wrestling as a heel worked even better. He knew exactly what to do psychologically. And Cena, obviously, is the master of working face.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, I feel like
real quick before you give your thoughts on, what does your cat think of this match? What star rating does the cat give?
I think we're gonna go
5 stars.
Yeah.
That's
But yeah, no, it was honestly a 4.5-star match because this is WrestleMania. This is the Ruthless Aggression era one more time. This is John Cena giving his best, Batista giving his best. They're calling back to that injury that Cena sustained at SummerSlam. They're calling back every
Gatsko says caught me cotton gives it 4.975. I think you're referring to your cat.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But
you were saying on.
Yeah,
couple things.
I rate the match. Owen, you're up.
I really don't think we kind of underestimated like John Cena's role because he did really well. Like when he had like no confidence in himself, like he did really well in that part of the storyline with what he had to do, where like he didn't have any confidence in himself, and like he finally gained confidence in himself like the week before, like the go home Raw of Mania and everything like that. I really don't think. I feel like we don't really talk about it much because Batista was so great, and because they would always do this with John Cena. This was the one time I think where John Cena had to overcome obstacles worked. I feel like no one really remembers this time because they've done this with Cena so often, and then at the end of the day, he's really not overcoming obstacles. This was the one time where they actually made it work really well. And then
there's also the one time I think we're seeing Steve Steiner petting a cat on camera.
This is so cute.
I feel like too when you talk about this is kind of like the encore of the Ruthless Aggression era. I mean, you're really right because a lot of the people that were big stars in the Ruthless Aggression era, a lot of they were being phased out as part-timers. This was Triple H's last Mania as a full-timer. This was, I mean, we're going to talk about it in a second, but Shawn Michaels' last WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Undertaker's last WrestleMania as a full-timer, pretty much. Like, a lot of the Ruthless Aggression stars were pretty much being phased, which is why it's even more stupid they don't put over any of the freaking new talent that they needed to put over in this match.
Yeah. Agreed.
Nowadays, the last Ruthless Aggression guy we have pretty much Randy Orton.
But he's injured right now.
Well,
he's injured.
Apparently, he's clear. He's going to be cleared to come back, so we'll see.
I have heard that he is all clear. He's been given the green light.
Him versus Lashley would be a decent little match on Mania.
What about Rey Mysterio? Rey Mysterio is definitely still in the.
Ray's a big one. Yeah, Ray.
Aren't they doing Bobby Lashley versus Bray?
Possibly not, but that's it. We'll talk.
I hope in Edge's final run we get a. I know the feud is technically supposed to end at Mania, but I really now knowing he'll be coming back, I so badly want to see the Judgment Day versus Rated RK Bro. Please,
that'd be
please.
Cool.
Edge's final pretty much has to be against Cena, right?
Yeah, I would imagine so. Yeah.
Which means pretty much has to win at Mania then, right?
But yeah, finishing this off, it shows an ad for the Shawn Michaels My Journey DVD that's coming out, which kind of gives away the main event, so it wasn't very smart to show this ad, but...
No, everyone in the arena is like, well, thanks.
Yeah. I don't know why they showed that. That was really stupid. I mean, I guess they wanted people to buy the DVD, but it's like they should have waited till like after the show to start showing advertisements for that. So,
yeah.
Next match was the no disqualification Streak versus Korea match. It was Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. So Noah Foster and I reviewed the WrestleMania 25 match. So this is
oh boy.
No, it's okay. You can keep it on camera. It's fine. Continue.
But yeah, Noah Foster and I reviewed the WrestleMania 25 match. And this was this storyline was a continuation of that WrestleMania 25 match. Shawn Michaels and Undertaker had won Match of the Year on the Slammy Awards, and Shawn Michaels came out to accept the Slammy, and he talked about how he wrestled this perfect match. But Shawn Michaels, you just saw a change happen to him, where he challenged Undertaker to a me match. He said that he knows he could beat the Undertaker, and he throws out the challenge for one final WrestleMania match. And Undertaker refused to accept the challenge. And at the time, he was the World Heavyweight Champion. So Shawn Michaels was going to go enter the Royal Rumble match, win the Royal Rumble, so that way he could challenge the Undertaker for the belt. Yeah. He didn't win the Rumble. He got eliminated by Batista, which was great. That was Batista.
I remember he did it in such a little punk ass fashion too.
Knocking his hands down. By the way, Steve, lean down a little bit because your face is being covered by my logo here.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
but anyhow, so it was really awesome. And then Shawn Michaels blew a gasket at the Rumble. And he thought there was going to be hope that he could still do something in Mania. He wanted to do something with DX, but Triple H basically said, "Nah, I qualify for the Chamber, pal. I want to win the WWE title." So Shawn Michaels was like, "So it's all about you now." And Shawn Michaels' downward spiral continued. He lost. DX ended up losing the tag title. So even if Triple H didn't win the WWE Championship, there was no chance they were going to go as tag champs if they lost the tag titles. And Shawn Michaels tried to get Teddy Long to put him in the Elimination Chamber match, but Teddy Long said no because he didn't want to take one of the guys out because they earned their spot. So Shawn Michaels just got upset. He basically thought his career was over. And in that World Title Elimination Chamber match, Undertaker was on the verge of beating Chris Jericho, and Shawn Michaels broke through the
Steel
the floor of the
steel trust. He unscrewed shit, and it looked like he'd just been a mechanic for months.
Yeah.
Like he was trying forever to try to get this unscrewed, and then he came up and hit the freaking super kick on the Undertaker, and Jericho pinned him, helping his ultimate fucking rival by that point win the world title. That's how desperate he was to get Taker. Wow, love that touch.
And it wasn't a heel turn. I think it was meant to be a heel turn, but Shawn Michaels was so over that they weren't going to boo him. But it was kind of like one of those things where he even said, like in his promo the next night, that he realized what he did wasn't a popular decision, but he's willing to live with that. And Shawn Michaels knew that the Undertaker was going to want revenge on Shawn Michaels for costing him the World Heavyweight Championship. So he challenged Undertaker to face him at WrestleMania to get his revenge. And the Undertaker accepted on the condition that Shawn Michaels puts his career on the line. And Shawn Michaels agreed because he says that if he can't beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania, he has no career. And he doesn't have a career because he can't book, so he really doesn't have a career. But anyhow, yeah, this was just some really good storytelling right here. They made the stipulation that it was going to be no disqualification because at WrestleMania 25, Shawn Michaels was willing to win by any means necessary to end the Undertaker's undefeated streak, but he wanted no. He didn't want anybody to get confusion. He wanted no BS. He wanted to beat the Undertaker fair and square, so that's why the no disqualification stipulation was added.
Yeah.
And yeah, this was just some really good storytelling. We had the match. Undertaker didn't come out with his signature hat and coat. He came out just in a hood and all that type of stuff. This was the first time he had done that entrance, I think, since WrestleMania 15. Well, I guess technically the first time that he didn't come out with the hat and coat since WrestleMania 19. But this is the first time as the Dead Man he came out with just, looking like that since WrestleMania 15. And, that's the only reference to WrestleMania 15 you're going to get on this show because that show sucks. But anyhow...
Because that show sucks. Fair enough.
Yeah, I did watch WrestleMania 15 Retro to understand how bad.
Yeah. Mainly for the indie force.
I just watched that WrestleMania back a couple weeks ago. It is a one-trick pony.
Yep. It was two. I'd say two. The opener was all right.
What was the opener again?
It was Al Snow, Billy Gunn, and a Hardcore Holly for the Hardcore title, which was anyhow pretty fun.
Yeah, Undertaker and Shawn Michaels go at it. Shawn Michaels immediately does the Undertaker's signature taunt, the throat cut, and this pisses the Undertaker off, and he just goes right after Shawn Michaels. He starts beating him up. Shawn Michaels, obviously gets the advantage for a little bit since he got inside the Undertaker's head, but Undertaker just takes right back in control. He lays into rights and left hands onto Shawn Michaels in the corner. He hits Old School onto him, and when he went down for the Old School, Undertaker ended up hurting his leg a little bit. So that was a factor into the match. Shawn Michaels started working over the leg. He locked Taker into the figure four, but Taker fought out of it. Undertaker attacked Shawn Michaels some more. He went for the boot into the corner.
Jesus Christ.
And he went for the boot into the corner, but Shawn Michaels moved out of the way. He hits a drop. He had a drop kick while he was in the ring. He threw Undertaker into the barricade. Undertaker mounts a little bit of a comeback. He hits the snake eyes into the big boot into the leg drop. Undertaker does the guillotine leg drop from the apron. And eventually Shawn Michaels starts going after the leg again. He drop kicks his leg. He gets Undertaker into a half Boston Crab, but Undertaker rolls out of the ring. And Undertaker tries to go for a signature WrestleMania dive, but because of the damage done to the leg, Shawn Michaels hits a drop kick right into the leg. And Undertaker goes for the eventually Shawn Michaels goes for the moonsault. And Undertaker counters it into a tombstone pile driver onto the floor. And Undertaker puts Shawn into the ring, but he since he took too long to get to the cover, Shawn Michaels ended up kicking out. And Shawn Michaels works over the leg again. He locks the Undertaker into the ankle lock. And this is where Matt Striker got his facts wrong again. Because he mentioned that Shawn Michaels had started doing the ankle lock later on in his career. And I'm like, no, he didn't. He only did it against the match with Kurt Angle. And that was just to mock Kurt Angle. So you got that wrong again. What?
I agree with that one. Good one.
I'm just saying, the crossface he got right though, because Michaels does do the crossface in this match, and that was something he added to his house.
Yeah. Before you continue, I just want to say Dean Winchester says hello. Hello, Dean. All right, continue.
Hi, Dean.
Hello.
And then Undertaker walked in the Hell's Gate, and Shawn Michaels countered with a roll up, but the Undertaker kicked out. But because he had to release the submission move so he could kick out, and then Undertaker hit a choke slam onto Shawn Michaels, and he couldn't capitalize to make the cover. And then the Undertaker he goes for the last ride actually, and Shawn Michaels holds the Undertaker's hair and counters it into like a DDT.
So good.
Which was a really good counter. Undertaker hits a superplex, but Shawn Michaels kicks out of that. Shawn Michaels hits an elbow drop. Undertaker kicks out of that. And they fight to the outside. Undertaker goes for he ends up hitting the last ride the second time, and Shawn Michaels kicks out. He goes for the last ride through the announcer's table. Shawn Michaels hits a sweet chin music. This is after he's already hit one on the Undertaker. And he hits a moonsault onto the knees of the Undertaker.
Yeah, he hits a moonsault through the announcer table onto Undertaker. Like, full on. I don't know if anybody had the balls to do that shit, man. Like, he fully was backflipping to Taker. That took some serious precision.
Yeah. Doing this, by the way, you saw, because they were going to guest host Raw the next night, one of the guys from Hot Tub Time Machine was in the crowd while they were fighting. I forget his name off the top of my head.
Nice.
But it was cool that he was out there. But anyhow, that's the only reference of Hot Tub Time Machine you're going to get. We're not doing a career retrospective on him because he technically isn't on this show.
Exactly.
He's just in the crowd.
No, he runs at the end. He wins the title. Remember?
he wins the 24/7 title before the 24/7 title becomes.
And the less said about that shit, the better. All right, move on. Continue.
Then Shawn Michaels puts the Undertaker into the win. He hits the sweet chin music onto the Undertaker. Undertaker kicks out. It was a really good near fall. And then he goes for a second sweet chin music. Undertaker counters into a choke slam, followed by the tombstone. And Undertaker goes for the count. Shawn Michaels kicks out. And Undertaker puts the straps down. He goes to finish off Shawn Michaels, but he starts to show remorse. He tells Shawn Michaels to stay down, pretty much. The fact that he doesn't want to have to end Shawn Michaels' career. But Shawn Michaels mocks the Undertaker. He slaps him in the face.
He does a slash taunt, slaps him in the face. Undertaker goes for the tombstone again. And Jerry, with the call of the whole match, that remorse look from the Undertaker turned into a look of rage, and then hits the spike. The Mongo Spike Tombstone pile driver.
Jumping Tombstone, yes.
Bro, just fucking murked him in the ring.
And then afterwards, Undertaker lifts up Shawn Michaels. They shake hands. Undertaker leaves. Shawn Michaels waves goodbye to everybody. And never had another match because Saudi Arabia never happened. That never happened. So
we don't want to talk about that. We don't talk about that. And now he's booking awful matches in NXT. Sorry, or awful programming in NXT rather.
Haven't you guys heard the new Disney song? We don't talk about Saudi. No.
We don't talk about Saudi. No.
But yeah, this
aftershock intro just turns on. We don't talk about Saudi. No.
That was a really. I did not expect that reference. Good shout.
But anyhow, this match was fantastic. A lot of people, the first match is probably a better match, but I think this match is a better story.
Yeah.
So I still give this match 5 stars.
I agree.
This match is excellent. A great way to end Shawn Michaels' career because he never wrestled again, ever. And it was just fantastic. And yeah, I really wish they would have showed that DVD ad though. That would have helped. That would have
helped. Yeah, I gotta give this 5 stars all day. The story they told was outstanding. Oh my god.
Yeah, you know,
What did you think?
Like a 1.5 or something. No, 5 stars.
Is
it a star and a half because they showed the? Is it a star and a half
because they showed the DVD? No, we don't do that. No, they fucking they told a great story here.
A 5-star match, just like the year before. I don't think it matters what match you think was better or worse. I don't even think the term worse applies. It's just what match you think was better. They're both 5-star classics easily.
And the thing,
both matches.
And if you really think about it, this is like 4-year build here because you consider the fact they were the final 2 in the Royal Rumble in 07. They were the starting 2 in Royal Rumble in 08. And then they had the match at Mania in 09. So, like, that was a 4-year stretch of great shit.
Well, I mean, not even that. Look at the entire history that the two have had together. I mean, they had their feud in... I don't think they feuded they didn't feud in the New Generation, as far as I remember.
Yeah, technically, yeah. In the bridge between New Generation and Attitude Era, yeah, they did. Definitely, their 97 feud was great.
Yeah, that's what I mean. When I think of that, I'm thinking Attitude Era.
Yeah.
Like, before that, they didn't really feud. But, you know, they have that feud, and obviously from there on out, they always have run-ins in the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
And then Shawn goes away, comes back. They don't have any run-ins until 2007.
Yeah.
And obviously the history picks back up there, but it was almost kind of like it didn't matter because this was a new Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think if we're being honest, Shawn Michaels might need 2 career retrospectives because he's really that different.
Yeah.
And also, too, don't forget to this isn't even just because they continued this obviously like in the Mania 27 when they have the segment with Triple H.
It's not the end of the story even.
But the Triple H matches, yeah. Then he's the guest referee in the end of an era match, and then that's it. Nothing else happens.
Nothing else happens.
For WrestleMania 28, it's ultimately, if you think about the story of DX versus The Undertaker.
Yeah,
essentially.
Pretty much, yeah.
And that was it. They didn't have any. They didn't have any other feuds after that.
Yeah.
28 match was it.
You know, the mayor of Knoxville County never got involved. I don't know what you're talking about.
The big red politician.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the end of WrestleMania 26. We're gonna go around and do letter grades. It's gonna be interesting. I still don't know what I'm gonna grade this show, but we'll start with Steve. What would you give WrestleMania 26 as a grade? I almost said 27. That's a different retro.
What would I give WrestleMania 26? I'm gonna go with a B. I was thinking minus. I'm gonna go with a B. I think the show has more things going for it than against it. I think at its worst, it was really one bad match, which was Brett versus Vince.
Yeah.
Actually, two bad matches. That and the Divas tag match. But at least Brett versus Vince had that story going in and coming out of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then outside of that, it was just bad decisions on certain winners. But at the time, Orton was a good choice to win. Still, it wasn't a terrible decision by any. It's not the best decision. And those are just the lowlights of it, really. And obviously, Ray's trapdoor not working.
But that was probably funny. That was probably funny to you, though.
At its best, this is one of the greatest WrestleMania stages of all time, as I already discussed. Has one of the greatest WrestleMania main events of all time. But, I mean, I would need to go through each one, actually, because I haven't done that yet, and pick it apart. I'm sure this one's probably going to be top 3.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, and I remember, too, after the fact, that people were crying. It was real. Wrestling was real again for a bit. People were really upset that Shawn lost.
And then
He never came back. He never came back.
I love Shawn Michaels saying, "I'm gonna drive my kids nuts in 3 weeks." That was
And
heartwarming.
I remember too, Shawn crawling up that whole arena was just like, oh shit. And then he slapped him and was like, oh shit. Everyone there was like, well, kids, we're about to see how it looks when a man dies.
This is how death happens at the hands of the Undertaker.
Michael's probably figured, well, it doesn't matter if I get injured because I'm done anyways.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And but the WWE Championship match, those two matches really do the show. They were the best matches to go on last for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely helped the show's grade for sure, I would think. Yeah.
I definitely, yep. And as we stated before, obviously the Shawn Michaels story continued into the next year with Triple H wanting revenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with a B.
I have a different grade only because I am more pissed off of how they just did not put over the Young Talent at all throughout the course of the night, and it really chaps my ass. And the one guy they did put over didn't deserve it and did not work nearly as hard as everybody else they should have put over. I gotta give this a C+.
Okay,
the plus
that's fair.
The plus is generous, and had it not been for
those two last matches.
For the two last matches, man, that this Mania would have been a dud, man. Like it would have just been I think, a lot of people say if a Mania is so bad, then it's memorable for being so bad. If a Mania is so fantastic, you remember it being so fantastic. The last thing you want is a middle of the road show, and it was damn near close to being a C. But those two matches saved it big time. It saved it big time. I was not a fan of how they were booking these matches and the winners of said matches. It really brought the show down for me. And that would be a theme all throughout the 2010s. That's just, they booked the wrong winners every fucking time, and it sucked the life out of you, no matter how good the match was. And that's why a lot of people just tuned the fuck out.
So I still haven't decided to agree, but I'm going to start talking it through. So I originally was in James's boat where I was going to give this like a C plus-ish because I was really pissed they were booking the wrong results. And they really, as we talked about, this was a sense the encore of the Ruthless Aggression era. They needed to make new stars here. They weren't good because this was Triple H's last Mania as a full-timer. Undertaker's last Mania essentially as a full-timer. Shawn Michaels' last WrestleMania in general. John Cena, Batista's last Mania. At least we thought so at the time. They really needed to put over like new stars here. And they just weren't doing that. The matches themselves were good, but it's an example where the booking is bad. It's not even just putting over the new stars. They just had the wrong results. Like this was like the third year in a row the Royal Rumble winner didn't win the title, and he should have won the title. Of all the years that they didn't have Jericho put somebody over, this was the wrong time for Jericho to win at Mania.
I agree.
The guy that wins the Money in the Bank match didn't deserve to win it, and I don't even say, well, you would complain about the new star winning. We gave the new star that should have won it anyways in Kofi Kingston. I feel like too we didn't even talk about it. It's not even that Swagger wins the briefcase. He doesn't do anything that's significant at all, like in the match.
He single-handedly is the reason why the World Heavyweight title became the Super Intercontinental title. He is the sole reason why that happens.
And then bad time management. They gave matches longer times that should have gotten longer times. Matches were too short. It's the end of CM Punk's career up until the Voice of the Voiceless. Then, like CM Punk, this was the end of the Straight Edge Society. But those last two matches, John Cena, Batista, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, really saved this show. And and really make this show something special. So I got to agree with James. I got to go with C+. I want to give it a B-, but it's just not a B- show.
That's fair.
It's very close to a B-. I think this Mania gets shat on a lot for that reason. It deserves the shit, and it's probably on like people's lists as one of the worst Manias. I don't think it's like top 5. People will put it in the top 5. But
it doesn't even make the top 15. There's been way worse WrestleManias over the years, but
yeah.
It is what it is, man.
It's probably the worst. It's probably like one of the worst of like the 2010s.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
I think another thing to take into consideration is I shouldn't have to praise the stage as much as I do. That kind of comes with them poorly handling every stage dance except for 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say 3 just because one of them was kind of a forgiven one.
Oh, 38, yeah.
Well, 36. I think 36 is the forgiven one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
3.5.
Yeah, agreed.
But yeah, that's how long did we go, Jane? I think we went pretty long.
We went. We're about to hit the 4-hour mark.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Hey, to be fair, we haven't done a video.
We haven't done.
Imagine what's gonna happen when we decide to do WrestleMania 35.
Yeah, right.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, let's not, please.
Imagine what a 2-night WrestleMania is going to be like. So.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I think I saw a thing like 35 still longer than a few of the 2-night ones.
I wouldn't be shocked.
Let's go into the plugs because I have all of our plugs ready to go as far as this channel and anything I have coming up. But Steve, do you have anything that you want to plug specifically?
Your review is coming. It's coming soon. It's going to be a little sporadic how often they come out, but I do have the 80s written. I have an episode, what I'm calling an episode 0, which is going to be everything prior to 1984. 1984 is the first, will be my episode.
The pilot episode, if you will.
Yes, in which we will cover the start of the golden age of wrestling, because that's really where we're going to start it. But as for 1983 and backwards, I'm pretty much doing a big retrospective. That goes back to the 1800s. I didn't think I was going to.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
Jesus Christ.
And I'm literally just glossing over things, and then I'm like jumping decades in advance and then doing it again and doing it again.
Fair enough. But
yeah. To know is if you think Vince McMahon is a little freaky, you think Vince McMahon Jr. was ruthless? Vince McMahon Sr. could be just as ruthless.
Mm-hmm. We know that.
But you know what? He had to be because everybody else was too.
All right. So with that being said, you can check that out on Steve's channel. I need you to send me a link to your channel so that way I can always put it in the plugs when you come on one of these. But with that said, you guys could check out, as far as me is concerned, Wrestling with Idiocy number 7 with myself and Casey Gallagher, where we go over our favorite WrestleMania matches and pretty much go over a retrospective there of every WrestleMania match that has ever existed. You could also check out AEW Spark from this week, covering week 11 of all things AEW. And you could, I did that twice for some reason. I don't know why, but there it is. You can check it out. You could also check out AEW Spark from last week, covering week 10. You could also check out WWE Aftershock from this week, covering week 11 of all things WWE, with your host Owen Fitch and Chris Dodd. You could also watch WWE. You could also watch WWE Aftershock, covering week 10 from last week. You guys could check out as far as the following retros, and here we go again. First WrestleMania Retro with Chris Dodd. WrestleMania 15 Retro with the Indy Force and Owen. WrestleMania 2000 Retro with Casey Gallagher. WrestleMania 25 Retro with Noah Foster. WrestleMania 24 Retro with Jeff Meacham, Casey Gallagher, and myself. WrestleMania 21 Retro with the return of John Tuddy. The chaotic WrestleMania 10 Retro where this man raised all sorts of hell along with Chris Dodd. Yeah. WrestleMania 23 Retro with myself and Mike Nikos. NXT TakeOver coming up this week on Tuesday. Stand and Deliver. That's going to be coming up this Tuesday. Raw After Mania 31 on Wednesday. And I forgot one because I'm a fucking idiot. Hold on. I forgot the WrestleMania 18 Retro, which I thought I fucking put in here, but apparently I didn't. So bear fucking with me here. I know I have.
That would be tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Time TBD. We don't know yet because
time is 7:00. 7:00
Okay.
p.m. EST. I now
Real
have
question though: when are we gonna be doing WrestleMania 39 predictions?
Next week.
Okay, so next week, and it will be on
Saturday.
It will be on. Wait. You guys are doing it? Okay. Because I was gonna say it doesn't necessarily need to be Saturday if you guys can make Noah Foster simply predicting, and then we're good.
We won't be able to make that probably, so we'll just do it Saturday.
Okay, so you guys will do it Saturday. We'll do it as like a WWE Aftershock extra or something. But yeah, there it is. WrestleMania 28 retro is involved. There it is in the plugs right at the end. You guys can also I think I got the other retros as well. You can also check out the update video of what to expect in a few weeks if you want like a general video of what's to come. And
that's very dated now, though.
It is very dated now. You guys can also, yeah, we'll do it live. Fuck it. You guys could also subscribe to Owen the Talkinator Studios and check out CM Brothers. And last but certainly not least, as far as what with me, Impact Wrestling Sacrifice commentary tonight, as well as the Simply Predicting panel, which is literally in about an hour with Noah Foster and myself and Jerry Slaughter. So go check that out. The link is in the chat right now. And on Saturday night, Noah Foster rather has to sing, and Simple Man don't like singing. So if you want a super chat and you want to get him to sing and have a fun time watching him sing and hating every bit of it, that's the stream for you. And that's the plugs.
Yeah, that's everything pretty much.
There you go.
Obviously on CM Brothers, you can watch, the only video I'll plug on there is the 400th video where my cousin and I did a review of the Death Note 2017 Netflix Death Note where, you want to see me rant about something non-wrestling related. That's the video for you. So.
Oh boy, did he rant. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. So.
And we hope to get stuff, James and I talked about it. We hope to get stuff going on that channel after WrestleMania is done and over with.
Yeah, for sure.
Our schedules are crazy right now, and
until after Mania, shit ain't happening for that. So that's pretty much where we are on that. But with that being said, and I have the catchphrase, Owen, to close this out, and you're going to be doing this every now and again. We've done shit in the past, and since this is being recorded in the present or live streamed in the present, we'll talk to you guys in the future. See you next time.
We doing all the classics, you heard it, then I grabbed it. Flow like Method Man, then run like I'm Rabbit. Soon as I hear the bass line, it be my FaceTime. Music's in my veins, so just in case I'm without my iPod or a media player, I'll check my...